To the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, OilersNation, YouTube and Facebook. As always, it's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province at PlayAlberta.ca. Now, let's talk. Connor McDavid is back. Only missed 3 games. He is ready to roll for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. And not only is McDavid back, but he's going to play with Jeff Skinner. Ooh, they've only played 1 game together all year. That was game 3 against the Calgary Flames when Skinner scored on his first shift with McDavid. Remember that? They played 9 minutes together that game, and then they were split up to start the third period and really haven't been together again. Now, they have played shifts here and there because they've played a grand total of 15 minutes at 5-on-5 this season, but I think Jeff Skinner, why not? And I would give him a run here. Let's give him some runway and see if they can create some chemistry. Because the Oilers, they just need some finishing ability right now. They've had shots. They've had chances. They're not scoring. Their 5-on-5 offense, not good at all. Their power play, not good. It needs to get going. Needs some excitement, according to Connor McDavid. Well, actually, I'll let you hear from Connor McDavid coming up here momentarily as we discuss the Oilers' power play or lack thereof, the power play. As it has not been able to finish. And a lot of it stems from, they pride themselves on being a hardworking power play. And Connor McDavid has a reason why he thinks they're not getting the shots they deserve. Or sorry, not the shots they deserve. They're not getting enough shots. If you're going to score, you got to get shot. The Edmonton Oilers, not only do they have the best power play the last few years, they also had the highest shot rate on the power play. Do you know where the Oilers sit currently on the man advantage? How about 30th in the NHL? They were average. They used to be like 67 per 60. They're at 38 per 60 right now. It's not good enough on the man advantage. You got to get some shots if you want to score. So McDavid, we'll get to that momentarily. He explains his reasoning as to why he thinks the PP is lacking and what he thinks can improve. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 in our inbox. They are your partner in power since 1975, supplying all the electrical gear you need. Very easy now, easier than ever to get. EWEL.ca. Other news for the Oilers, Noah Philp has been sent back to Bakersfield. The Condors are just decimated with injuries. They need some forward help, so he will go down there. They've got 2 games here. They're playing Calgary, Abbotsford, I guess. Sorry, Vancouver's farm team, but Abbotsford. So he'll get some games in there, play a lot of minutes. That'll be good. Could see him back potentially in the NHL, but it's not a guarantee. The Oilers also go back to accruing more cap space if that's something that you deem important, which I think it probably is for this group, because clearly there's some things they want to add on their team. The other thing, and we touched on it yesterday, but to me, the harsh truth for the Edmonton Oilers is right now they're 5-on-5 scoring, and their special teams got to be way better. It's just that simple. They got to be better. They're 5-on-5 scoring, because guess what? You know what chances does? Looks good on paper. It doesn't win you games. All that creating chances just means you're creating chances. You're not scoring. Now, you can argue and say, well, history tells you that eventually it'll get better. Sure. Is it an accurate statement? In a way, yes. Is it guaranteed? No, there's no guarantee that they're magically all of a sudden going to score. I would think they would. I think they have enough talent too. But until they do, then it's just a hope factor. They got to be better. They got to finish. That's part of your job. Special teams, power plays, 14.7%. They're 29th in goals with 5. They're 30th in power play opportunities. And they're 30th in shots per 60. It's not good enough. So, you know what? They're even 23rd in expected goals. So if you believe in that stat, they're just not good enough right now on their power play. It's got to be much better. So now they've never been a team that draws a boatload of penalties. They were 19th in 2022. They were 20th last year. Now in 2023, they were 6th at 3.35 opportunities per game. That's kind of the highest. They haven't been a team, which is odd in some ways with McDavid, but they're not an overly aggressive team. They don't. I think even when they were faster, because I know everybody says, well, they're not fast enough. That's why they don't draw penalties. I'm like, oh, really? They were 20th last year at 2.96. They're at 2.62. It's not. So that's like one extra power play every 3 games is what that equates to if they stay at the same rate. It's not a crazy amount. So if you are believing that, it's speed or lack thereof, why they're not drawing penalties, I'm not. That might be a little bit too simplistic of trying to connect the dots. So the power play, when McDavid was in, it was 13.8%. The last 3 games, a slight uptick. It went to 20%. So maybe they are trending in the right direction. But they got to get more shots. And I asked Connor McDavid about the power play as we get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton.com. They are, of course, Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, 13 years running, Excellence Award in sales and service. The 2025 XC90s and XC90 plug-in hybrids are in. Get one now at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. And so I asked McDavid, did he see anything? Because sometimes the game's different. You get a different look upstairs watching the game. What does he see right now, or what did he see as far as what's lacking in the power play?
The power play just seems a little bit lifeless right now, but we know what we're doing out there. We've been doing it for a long time. It's time to get the excitement back in the group, the energy back on the power play, and get it going. It's time.
Your shot volume as a group is down. Like Leon and Zachary and you 3 were the top 3 quite a bit the last few years, and it's down significantly. I know you don't just shoot from anywhere. That doesn't make any sense. But how do you get your shot levels back to where they've been, where they're dangerous shots?
I think the shots is one thing, but I think it's the retrievals that's really been the issue. We're getting our shots, but we're just not getting anything back, and not generating the second, third, fourth chance on the power play. That's always been our staple. It's never been the set play or it's never been that's made us successful. It's retrievals, getting it back. Gully talks a lot about road hockey, scoring on second and third chances, when you're kind of off script. So we haven't gotten enough pucks back. I think that's where it starts.
What have you seen from Jeff Skinner in his time here? And what are your thoughts on how it might work with you?
Obviously a really skilled guy. He's good around the net. Played with him for a little bit there in the Calgary game early in the season. Thought we had a little bit of success, but looking forward to getting another chance with him and trying to build something.
How do you think 2 to 3 weeks turns into a week and a half? Is it, were they overly careful with the diagnosis? Did you manage to pull something off with your rehab?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I can only tell you how it feels. It feels really good. I'm not part of the media team, doing the media releases. So I was pretty lucky. It was not very good initially, and things have turned the corner, really, really quickly, and it feels good.
Yeah, when you got in the plane from Nashville coming home to Edmonton, did you fear that it would be worse than it turned out to be?
I certainly did. Yeah, I felt not very good about it, but ultimately sometimes it can feel bad and swell up and stuff, but it can clear out pretty quick. This is something that I've had a little bit before, and maybe it's just a tweak of an old injury or something. I don't know, but it feels good though.
So are you confident that you're past this, or like that you won't have any setbacks? Ankle injuries are always difficult to deal with.
I'm really confident. If I wasn't confident, I wouldn't be preparing to play. I'm confident with the doc's opinions, confident with listening to my body and telling me what what feels good, what doesn't, and ultimately together we feel it's safe to come back and play.
Vegas and Vancouver coming up here, 2 important games, divisional
Yeah.
teams. You don't want them to get ahead of you. Did that, I suppose that was probably enticed you to come back.
2 games that I certainly wanted to be a part of, but not the deciding factor for sure. If you'd rather miss these ones in November than later in the year, so but ultimately going to get to play, and I'm looking forward to it. 2 great teams. Obviously tonight with Vegas, not looking ahead. They're a great team. They're a great D-men, strong up the middle. Always a good challenge for us.
What was Langer like to an 18-year-old Connor McDavid, and what makes him good at his job?
You know what? Here in Edmonton, we're so fortunate to have the best staff across board. Whether that's the medical guys, the media guys, James, and the equipment guys, Kate with team services. But we're so fortunate and so lucky. But just Langer in particular, 1,500 NHL games. That's a incredible number. Been doing this for a long time, and I think the relationship you build with the players is one thing, but when you're with a team for long enough, you build such a great relationship with the staff that are here every day, and just fortunate to have Langer on our side, and so happy for him and his family, and that's a great milestone.
Have it. Yeah, and Jeff Lang, 1,500 games. He has now worked for the Edmonton Oilers. They had T-shirts today congratulating him on game 1,500. They'll probably have a brief little ceremony before the game for him. Well, at least recognition. It's a pretty big deal for a guy who, those guys in the room who do a lot of kind of behind-the-scenes stuff don't get that recognition. The players definitely recognize what they do. So that's big. Coming up, Mike Rupp is going to join us. We'll talk all things NHL next on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, sports1440.ca, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 Select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
We all live in Canada, right? And we all know it gets cold, right? And every second that ticks by, it gets colder and colder. Well, GS Construction is prepared for that. GS Construction is the group that makes sure all those underground pipes that lead to and away from your home stay flowing. Because pipes freeze. You don't want that. So GS Construction has been hard at work as winter approaches, preparing our underground systems to run smoothly. To find out more, visit gsconstruction.ca.
As the Grand Slam of Curling takes place at the Silent Ice Center, Curling Alberta's 50/50 will be supporting grassroots curling in Beaumont. Monies raised will go towards supporting junior curling in Beaumont. So get your 50/50 tickets today at curlbeaumont.ca.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
2:16. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Declan Cougar with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Hope you're having an awesome day as the Oilers taking on Vegas tonight, and the return of Connor McDavid as he comes back. Only missed 3 games. Was walking around fine. You know what? Maybe the 2 to 3 weeks for the sprained ankle was a little bit cautious. Either way, he has historically been a quick healer. Has avoided surgery once, opted to do that, which I understand why he did. Was obviously the smart decision. And we'll see how it goes for Connor McDavid tonight. Also, just as big, the Jeff Skinner, Connor McDavid combo has only started a game once this year. They scored on their first shift. Will they get a little bit longer look tonight? We shall see. Let's go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's, where you stop in every Tuesday. Well, you want to stop in every day, but Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays, they have the fan deals, but only available through the app, where you can get $4 Big Mac, Filet-O-Fish, or McChicken. The fan day deals Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at McDonald's, as Mike Rupp from the NHL Network, also analyst for the Pittsburgh Penguins, joins us. Rupper, how you doing?
I'm good, Greg. How you doing, bud?
Oof. You know what, buddy? I'm great. You know what? Another busy night in the NHL. Scary situation that looks to turned out good for Dylan Holloway. Just an odd one where the puck hit him. Cale Makar looks like he's maybe avoided any sort of serious injury with Colorado, which will obviously would be huge for them. But I do want to discuss a few teams out there, and I don't know. I've been watching the Boston Bruins. Lately it's been either they shut out teams or they get shut out. But I was looking at their games, and they've been the most penalized team in the NHL so far, but they've also had the most power plays. There's been 126 total power plays in their games so far this season. Then you look at teams like Vegas, they're the least penalized team. They've had a grand total of 45. That's a significant difference in the amount of power plays.
Yeah, this sounds like a nightmare for a depth player like me. That if you're in a game that has all those power plays, you're not getting any kind of flow or rhythm. And I mean, to some degree, you can say that they haven't found that as far as their depth on their lineup. But with that being said, their fourth line's been their best line. So some guys have found ways to be productive in maybe the limited ice at different times. But yeah, I mean, it's that matchup last night between them and the Leafs. I mean, both teams very undisciplined as far as taking penalties, and there wasn't much difference last night where you saw Toronto take full advantage. Where they 3 for 7, I think, on the power play last night. So, but Boston they're a different animal this year. They're a different one for me. Where it's like, finally, how many years it feels like we've been talking about the other 4 teams, maybe in the Atlantic Division, whether it's Buffalo, Ottawa, Detroit, who's going to take advantage? And maybe does it feel like it's an actual position that could be up for grabs? Maybe the 4th spot in that division this year. And Boston is, I still think that they're a good team. They'll figure this out to some degree, but man, they look very out of sorts, and the undisciplined nature has been biting them quite a bit.
Oh yeah, well, it's been biting them, but they've also had the most chances. It's almost like I look through this sometimes in games. If you don't take a lot of power plays or penalties, you don't seem to get a lot of power plays. Like, there's very rare as a team. And I just wonder if there's a little bit of the human nature where Boston games right now, there's penalties all over the place. Vegas, on the other hand, there's no penalties. They've been shorthanded 23 times, not even 2 per game. And power plays, they've had the fewest as well at 31. So, you know what? They don't get a lot of power plays, even though their power play is great. But they don't take a lot of penalties either. And I just wonder sometimes, as a player, did you ever notice that in a ref? It's like, well, guess what? This team doesn't play, they play within the rules more. So both ways, they don't draw any, but they don't take any. And I just, I've looked at that. Like Toronto and Boston, both are first and second in power play chances and time shorthanded.
I think that reputation, even short term, is certainly a thing. These referees, either they'll get some of the same teams in a short period of time, or they talk. I mean, they're humans and they have discussions too, right? And I think that the other part of it, when you're talking about this, is you've got just nature of the NHL, whether we like to admit it or not. I can't tell you how many times over the course of your career you're on the ice and you hear the refs kind of, if one team's going to take penalties, the other team, they're going to be looking for them. No referee wants to leave a game with 8 power plays for one team and 1 for the other. You're never going to see, I mean, I don't want to say never, you'll see it once in a while, some absurd changes like that. But for the most part, you get some phantom calls. Like they don't want to be the difference in the game. And you could argue, well, you are being the difference if it's a penalty or not a penalty and you're calling one. But I find maybe in that Bruins situation, they take so many, and at the end of the night, they don't want it to look so lopsided. So anything that's marginal, they're going to lean towards calling it, even for the Bruins at times, to make it even and make it where you're sitting there saying, hey, these guys, the players figured it out on the ice. It wasn't up to me.
Mike Rupp joins us on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Rupper, it's fair. I think it's something that's definitely there. You meant, Boston's a team that maybe you got a little bit of concern about right now, where they're going to be. Like, I don't know if Buffalo can really push them out. Maybe Ottawa, although last night they got spanked by Buffalo, allowing 2 goals in the first 37 seconds of the third period. You're a team that you cover very closely. The Pittsburgh Penguins, obviously, they're in 7th place in their division. It's not where they want to be. Can they turn this around, or is it a pretty tough task when you consider that Washington is the 4th right now in that division, and they're 8-3. The Rangers are 8-2-1. The Hurricanes are 9-2, and the Devils, who have played the most games but only one more than the Penguins, are already 6 points ahead, and they're 8-5-2. Like, seems like a pretty big hill to climb.
Yeah, I mean, certainly anything can happen when you have certain players on roster like they have, and they're still playing at a really high level. So, I mean, I think that's part of the conversation the last number of years when we're talking about whether windows have closed, are they still open? Can they? Yeah, they can. Now, what we've seen over the last couple seasons and what we've seen so far this year, I was on that game last night calling the game at UBS Arena, the Islanders. The trends that they've had the last couple years tell me no, they're not going to be able to get out of this. They're not going to be able to get into the playoffs because it's the same things over and over again. I mean, they had 5 games of the last 8 that they've had 2-goal leads, and they've lost 4 of those games. So it's like they're playing better than they did as far as generating opportunities, generating chances. But you go back to last year, that wasn't their problem. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were one of the top teams in expected goals for, if you want to get in some of the nerd numbers, like they were one of the best for a long stretch of last season. It didn't translate because they didn't manage games well. They didn't get the save at the right time. They didn't defend well. I think we're starting to see all those things creep in. Last night was a sneaky punch in the gut for the Pittsburgh Penguins because they dominated parts of that game. And in 2 minutes, that game gets tied up late in the third period, and they lose in the shootout, and that's been them. So can they do it? Yeah, it's going to have to be on the capes of Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin. Erik Karlsson's going to have to find his game. He doesn't look like what he can be. But if you're asking me, even the guy covering him, honestly, I don't see it happening because we've seen this for a long time now.
Nashville Predators, how high is your concern?
I'm kind of concerned with Barry Trotz's comments, talking about, hey, if I don't start seeing the turnaround here, we're gonna do a rebuild. I mean, excuse me? You signed 2 guys. You signed a guy for what Stammer get 3 or 4 years at $8 million. You got Jonathan Marchessault had 5 years for $5 million or whatever it was, $5.5 million. And I don't know if it's just trying to jumpstart that hockey club, but I still like them if they get back to the lunch pail hockey that we've seen them play in the past. I don't know if it's a different mindset because of the star power they brought in. They're one of the worst teams in the NHL with generating opportunities from the slot. They don't get there. I was just doing a lot of video actually for the show today on they're settling for these outside looks. Like they enter the offensive zone and you get players just posting up, opening up for one-timers from outside the circles. I'm like, who's driving the net here? They're taking shots from bad angles with no bodies even remotely going or driving to the net. They've got some issues here, and that's not the division to mess around in. I still think they can get it done because we've seen in the last couple of years that that's a team. When they went on the 18-game heater last year, it wasn't because they were out skilling teams. They're out working teams, and they got to get back to that. So the sooner they do, I think they can certainly be back in this mix and compete, I think, for a top 3 spot in that division. But, I mean, right now, the way the Minnesota Wild look, the way that Winnipeg Jets look, and Colorado's hanging around here through a tough stretch. I mean, it's going to get tough for them if they don't turn it around.
Oh, God. You're throwing Minnesota's playing unreal. And, like Colorado, you look in the next 9 days, who's coming back? They just got Lehkonen back. Duran's going to be coming back. And Shushin's going to be activated on the 15th. That's 3 top 6 guys. It's going to make them a lot better. And, the Barry Trotz comment I found was in, hey, if it doesn't turn around, we're going in a rebuild. And I'm just like, dude, like, I think
you did this.
You're the one that made the decision. I even said it in the summertime. I know everyone is like, oh, biggest winner. I'm like, Tampa Bay. And hey, Tampa Bay, people in Tampa Bay said Steven Stamkos at 5-on-5 wasn't the same player. And they've seen a slow kind of decrease. Well, you know what? He was unreal in the power play, but he doesn't have a Kucherov or a point on the power play with him in Nashville. It's just different. And so I wonder if that's it. There is also the getting acclimatized in a new situation. It's never that easy. Some players take a whole year sometimes to really get comfortable in a new spot. But I just looked at it and I'm like, who are their centers? That's what I always said. I'm like, who are their centers to go with all their wingers? If you have all great wingers, but you have no centers, then you got question marks.
Oh, it's big time. I mean, you added players that I love that you added because you needed more star power, but you added them at positions that are usually complementary positions. They're not the driving positions. That's center ice. So they've got some work to do to try to figure this out. Andrew Brunette, great coach. He's going to be really tested here, see if he can turn it around.
Mike Rupp joins us on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Rupper, one quick one for you. Are you look at one other team that I just can't get a read on what they are or maybe what they're not at this point, and that's the St. Louis Blues. What do you make of the Blues?
I don't know. I don't know what to make of them. I mean, they're a team that I on paper, I think they got better. They look better. I mean, the Robert Thomas injury certainly hurts. This is a big test for Jordan Kyrou. Can he up his game? And they've got to manage some time of the season. They're interesting because they're a team that a lot of people thought they should have torn things down and rebuilt in a lot of ways, and they did it on the fly. They got younger from the obvious moves they made, getting those guys out of Edmonton there, but it's going to be tough. They're not in a friendly division, so it's going to be very interesting what that team can do. I mean, I don't really know who they are. I think that's a better way of explaining it. Are they a team that's going to have and rely on their structure, their defensive play? Are they a team that can score goals? They're kind of in no man's land in both categories. I think that's a dangerous spot.
Yeah. Rupper, as always, man, great stuff. We appreciate it. Have yourself an awesome week. We will chat with you next Wednesday.
Awesome, Greg. Enjoy, buddy.
There you go. That's Mike Rupp from the NHL Network. The Blues did get good news on Dylan Holloway. If you watched that last night, kind of a scary situation. Took the puck, and now he finished his shift. And his explanation, I'll read it for you here in a second. He explained kind of how he felt, and they actually stopped the game. At that time, there was 1:11 left in the period, and they resumed the period the next day. The next period. But it was different. Guys, as soon as I got hit, I knew something was a little bit off. But then I saw we had a 2-on-1, so I couldn't pass up that opportunity. Is what he said. But says it's got hit in his vagus nerve in his neck. Then when he went back to the bench, he felt woozy and didn't remember much from there until he found himself on a stretcher. He's not allowed any activity for 24 hours, but then after that, he should be good to go, and they expect him back in the lineup. So just kind of a freak spot. I honestly, I've never heard of the vagus nerve. Very specific place, but I guess you get hit right in the right spot in the neck. Obviously, can cause you to pass out and be unconscious, is what we saw with Dylan Holloway yesterday. And it sounds like it looked terrible, but now everything's good to go. So that is good news for the former member of the Edmonton Oilers. A rather scary situation last night in that game. A lot of text line in 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. If you, hey, Gregor, you mentioned Vegas. Where do the Oilers rank when it comes to power play opportunities and penalty kill? Well, Vegas has had the fewest combined power plays and penalty kills in their games in the NHL. They don't take a lot of penalties. They don't get a lot of power plays. It's they've been shorthanded 23 times, whereas the Oilers have been shorthanded 35, but their time shorthanded. They've played more games than some other teams. The Oilers, if you look at time shorthanded per game, the Oilers have the fifth fewest in the NHL. But then you look at power play chances, and guess what? The Oilers are not getting many power plays at all. If you just look at total power plays, and they played more games than some teams, they're at 34. But then if you look at power play chances per game, St. Louis is the lowest, then Vegas at 2.58, and then the Oilers at 2.62. So you go to the game tonight, you're probably not going to see a lot of power plays based on what we've seen thus far this season, as Vegas has the lowest combined power plays per game right now at 4.5 total. There's a total of 4.5 power plays per game for them. Winnipeg's next at 5. And so that's a significant difference, right? It's a half power play per game less from Vegas to everybody else in the league. Winnipeg's at 5, and then Edmonton comes in third, and they are at 5.31. So who knows? Maybe there'll be a big uptick in power plays, but and honestly, that might help the Oilers. Fewer power plays right now might be beneficial to them, just because their power play is not working and their penalty kill is terrible. So penalty kills at 60%. Eeks. Now, they started awful, of course, allowing 5 power play goals in their first 6 chances. But since then, they're still only 68%. So it's not like those 2 games grossly skew their 60%. They're 68 in the 11 games since starting 1 of 6 on the penalty kill. So not good at all. Hey, guys, what do you make of the Oilers? And do you think they're looking to add a fourth line center at the deadline? I think we can agree Ryan's not that guy. Philp needs some more time. Could Kane's no movement, which goes to a no trade clause, be up for grabs? So that'll alleviate cap space to get him a top D and a fourth line center from Ryan in Fort Sask. Well, I look at Evander Kane. If he's healthy, he brings a lot of elements that they don't have. He's physical. They don't have a lot of physicality in their lineup. He's skilled, and he skates. Checks a lot of boxes. I think if Evander Kane's getting moved, I don't think it's for his on-ice ability. I think it'd be for some other things, if he gets moved. When it comes to cap space, yeah, you might have to open up some, but I would look at the Oilers would look at maybe some other options first, potentially. See what happens. That doesn't happen until March 1st, where it changes to a limited no trade clause. So are the Oilers going to wait that long? Maybe. But they might have to make a deal for a right shot defenseman even sooner. The problem is, I've outlined it. There's not a lot. If you look at guys who are penning UFAs and even guys with 1 year left in their deal, like Rasmus Anderson's one, but I don't think Calgary's trading him to Edmonton. I just don't see that happening. So look at other ones. The options aren't great. So they might have to try to find another Matthias Ekholm. I don't know if you can find him as a player, but I'm talking a guy with significant term left on his deal. So that's going to be uncovering every rock if you're the Oilers to see what they have there. On defense tonight, it'll be Stetcher with Nurse, Kulak and Emerson, and of course Ekholm with Bouchard. Draisaitl's line stays together with Arvidsson. and Podkolzin. You're going to have Nugent Hopkins centering Adam Henrique and Connor Brown tonight. And Derek Ryan will center Janmark and Perry as Noah Philp was loaned to Bakersfield. They're in a lot of hurt when it comes to injuries, so he'll get down and get to play here. They're playing, of course, on their Canadian tour in the American League right now in Calgary, and then they go to Abbotsford. So he's right close. Quick break. When we return, we will talk the Vegas side of things. Jesse Granger will talk to us about the hottest line in the NHL, although they've slowed down a little bit the last 3 games. But 5-on-5, they're scoring a ton. They're giving up a lot. They have had high-scoring games so far, Vegas. They score a lot. They've actually given up a fair amount. So we'll touch on that next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Noodle, 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 noodle. Noodle, 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 noodle.
Throw the load down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open. Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Need a truck? Want a great deal on a truck? Get into Wolf GMC Buick. It's GMC's Canada-wide clearance. Take advantage of 0% financing on Sierra half-tons. Oh, and guess what? GMC employee pricing is back on all in-stock 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons. That means thousands of dollars in savings on GMC Sierra 3/4 ton and 1 ton. Also thousands off the industry-leading SUV, the GMC Yukon. Get to Wolf GMC Buick now and drive away with money off and a smile on. Just off the Anthony Henday.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Ain't it beautiful?
The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Mr. Rooter plays a video game.
This is wonderful. A world where a plumber is the hero. My hat is off to you, Mario. Although I personally advise against eating any mushrooms found in a drain pipe. I won't make that mistake twice. All I've got to do now is hop over this Goomba and save the princess. What? No way. I pressed jump. I pressed jump.
For a super plumber with an all-time high score, call Mr. Rooter.
Diablo Boots in Canada West. 2 great names in work and cowboy boots. For over 60 years, Diablo has been selling the best-made Canadian boots. Diablo has boots from sizes 6E to size 15 EE, just for you. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Justin, or Red Wing, when Diablo has the best quality for less, made in Canada? Diablo has work and cowboy boots with replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So, save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save On Foods. Boots. Hurry in today for best selection.
Looking for the perfect spot to unwind? Check out the Ridge Social Eatery, St. Albert. The Ridge is a locally owned, upscale neighborhood restaurant offering unbeatable daily features. Open daily at 11:30. Craving something late? Check out their new late-night menu from 8 till close. Enjoy brunch at the Ridge Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays until 2 p.m. Plus, there's open mic night every first Wednesday of the month and live music select Saturdays. Welcoming atmosphere, friendly staff, good times. For more, visit theridgestantalbert.com or social media.
Albert.
.243. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Declan Kruger with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Sports1440.ca, where you can listen, even the app. Download it, enjoy it. The Gregor Show, always brought to you by playalberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Of course, Connor McDavid back in the lineup tonight. And so the question is, the Vegas Golden Knights, 8 of their 12 games have involved 7 or more goals. The Oilers, on the other hand, only 3 of 13 have seen them. And I use that because a lot of times 6.5 is the line for over-under in the NHL. And Vegas, there's a lot of goals in their games compared to the Oilers. Significantly more. So you look Vegas, what I think they've just at 5-on-5, there's been 70 goals in Vegas games. They've scored 40, they've allowed 30. Meanwhile, the Oilers only 45 goals, 5-on-5 in their games. They've scored 21, they've allowed 24. So pretty big difference in a very short period of time. So we'll see. Will we see a little bit more offense tonight? The Oilers, God, you got to hope so at some point they figure it out. Now, let's go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical, the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta for divisions and projects. Where in their projects, they'll do design build, switchgear replacements, new construction renovations, and more at actionelectrical.net. As Jesse Granger, beat reporter for the Vegas Golden Knights, joins us once again. Of course, writes for The Athletic in Vegas. Jesse, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. How are you guys?
Hey, we're good. I'm kind of curious. Vegas, there's been no shortage of entertainment in their games this season. High flying. Now, the one thing that's missing is there's not a lot of power plays. They don't take many power plays, least penalized team, and they don't get many power plays, but they're enjoying it because 5-on-5, they're the best team as far as scoring goals with 40.
Yeah, you mentioned how many goals are being scored just on both nets in their games, and it's really funny because it's the exact opposite of what most people expected going into this season, and I'll include head coach Bruce Cassidy in that. Entering this year, they had lost a lot of scoring. They obviously lose Jonathan Marchessault, who led the team in goals last season and is the franchise's all-time leading scorer, but they also lost Chandler Stevenson, who's a really key top 6 center. They lost William Carrier, Michael Amadio, Paul Cotter, all depth wingers who pitched in scoring goals. And entering this year, it seemed like this team was going to really have to lean on its defense. And they have a good defense. That's probably the biggest reason they won the Cup 2 years ago. But it just felt, and like Bruce Cassidy was even saying, we're going to have to manufacture some goals. We're going to have the best defensive team in the Pacific Division. We're probably going to win a lot of 2-1 games. And that hasn't been the case at all. Their defense hasn't been as good as they expected it to be, but the offense has been spectacular. And part of that is they're shooting at an insane high percentage right now. I mean, they're scoring on 15.1% of their shots, which leads the NHL. That's not going to keep up for the whole season, but they have been creating a lot more offense than we expected. I don't know if that's because the defense hasn't been quite as locked down, so maybe they've had to push and play a little more open hockey than they had preferred to play, but So far, this team has been winning shootouts at home, and they've been losing shootouts on the road. They have not lost a game at T-Mobile Arena yet this year, and they have not won a game away from it. So they'll be trying to change that tonight.
Yeah, and I looked. Quality of competition has to play a factor there. Their road games are against 4 teams who all made the playoffs last year and are all in the playoffs right now in Florida, Tampa, Washington, and LA. And then their home games, the only 2 teams that made the playoffs last year were LA and Colorado. And then Calgary and St. Louis technically are in a playoff spot right now. So they've definitely had easier opponents at home. So that maybe factors into it. Or is it just like the Fortress is a tough place to play now, right? Opposing teams know about it. And the Vegas players all talk about it. Like, it's loud, it's raucous, like it's a fun atmosphere. So I'm guessing maybe it's a combination of both.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit of both. I think Vegas has always been a tough place to play. It's loud, like you said. I also think that this Golden Knights team is built a little differently. They're structured a little differently than they've been in the past. They've always been a deep team that kind of rolls 4 lines, and they're going to beat you with depth. And they don't really stack one line the way you've seen Edmonton do or Colorado do. But this year, just based on necessity and just the way William Karlsson was hurt early in the year, they did kind of stack that top line with Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, and Ivan Barbashev. And for a while there, I haven't checked the stats in a couple of days, but for a while there, they were the highest scoring line in the NHL, and they were unstoppable. And they were scoring a lot more goals at home when you can obviously get last change and get the favorable matchups. You go on the road, you're playing a tougher team. Like you said, they did have some tough games down in Florida. And now those teams can get the matchups that they'd like. And when you are more reliant on one line, I think it's tougher to play on the road than when you're a team that rolls 4 lines. Since William Karlsson came back into the fold and Tomas Hertl has kind of found his game, they're becoming less of a one-line team. But early in the year, that was really the case for them, and I think that's part of the reason that they have not played as well on the road.
Yeah, that line was the hottest line. I think they had like 12 or 14 5-on-5 goals in the first 9 games. But the other thing is their power play is red hot. And the 2 guys who kind of rotate in are the ones scoring a lot of the goals, kind of that 5th guy on the power play as they split time. Tell me a little bit about that power play and the success they're having. I don't know what spot you want to call it, that Doroviev and Olofsson are rotating in on.
Yeah, this is the best. I'll be honest. This is the first time the Golden Knights have had what I would consider a good, dangerous power play in 8 years. This has been something this team has been trying to fix for a very long time. Even the year they won the Cup, they weren't any good on the power play. This year it has looked very good. And kind of how I was talking about earlier, they stacked the top line. They've done similarly with the power play, where instead of trying to spread the talent amongst 2 units and play them both, they've kind of just loaded up that top unit. And they play almost the entire time, like they're out there for at least a minute and a half of the power plays. And as you mentioned, it's the 5th guy who's been scoring those goals. But to me, Jack Eichel and Mark Stone are running the power play. And for a while there, they were feeding Tomas Hertl in the bumper right there in front of the net. And he was scoring a bunch of goals, one-timers. Just Mark Stone gets it on the side of the net, puts it right into the front, easy one-timer for a goal. Teams started taking that away. They started seeing it on film, started taking it away. And when they take that away, it opens up the player on the back side of the play, which has been Olofsson until he got hurt, and now Dorofeev. So it's kind of a pick your poison. This power play is clicking. They're getting what they want, and they're kind of forcing teams to either take away Hertl right in front of the net. But if you do that, you're going to give away the backdoor one-timer to Dorofeev or Olofsson. So yeah, it's working really well. It's the best it's looked in a very long time. They're really hoping that this isn't just a hot streak and that they've actually got a functioning power play that's going to be a big weapon, because it's made a big difference so far.
Jesse Granger joins us, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Oilers hosting the Vegas Golden Knights. Puck drop tonight, 6:44 for those of you who are either going to the game or are going to be watching it on television, because it is back on normal TV tonight. You look, Vegas has, the depth of their team. Brett Howden's got 6 goals. We talked about the 2 guys on the power play, and they're getting scoring up and down the lineup. Thomas Hertl, who last year and really for a few years in San Jose, maybe he was disinterested, probably sick of losing, was a part of it. How much is there of just kind of being reborn into a winning team again, but also being healthy? Where do you balance that on what you've seen from Hertl?
Yeah, it was a slow start for him for the season. And obviously he was still coming back from that knee injury at the end of last year. He didn't look himself. I thought he still kind of looked that way starting this year. as the season has gone on, he's looked better and better. He's looked good on the power play the whole time, and that's when he doesn't really have to use his feet. He can kind of just use his strength and his good hands in tight, and he's looked good there the whole year. The 5-on-5 play is starting to get a little better for him. He's starting to move a little more, and he's got great hockey IQ. He finds passing lanes. He's got a good shot when he has chances. For me, when he's skating well, he plays better. And I think that Brett Howden, who you brought up as one of their depth scorers, I think he's had a great impact on Hertl. You'd think it'd be the other way around, Hertl making Howden better, but I actually think it's Howden has really helped Hertl find his game, because in Cassidy's system and in most systems, the center obviously is the most defensively responsible forward. You need to be the first one back. But Tomas Hertl loves to play behind the goal, deep in the offensive zone. So when there is a change of possession, it's tough for him to get back, especially because he's not the fastest skater. Brett Howden has played center in the past. They've put him on his wing, and I think Howden, who's a very good skater, has maybe given Hertl a little more freedom to fight for those battles a little longer, maybe not give up on a puck quite as quick because you're trying to get back. He's able to stay in those battles below the goal line with the confidence that if he's not the first guy back, Howden will be. So I think Howden's ability to cover ice, be defensively responsible, and kind of help Hertl do his strengths even better. Let Hertl play his game without the worry of being the first guy back. I think that's unlocked a lot of offense for Hertl at 5-on-5. So those two have been a great fit. It's something Cassidy had been throwing kind of wingers, trying different guys out with Hertl, and Howden has stuck. And the way he's looked, I expect them to play together for a while.
Yeah, it's been quite good for them. Looking at matchups tonight, I know Vegas doesn't get the last change, but safe to say they're going to try to get Hanifin and Pietrangelo as much as they can against McDavid.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they do for every game. Those two are their heavy minute line. They're going to play them against the best guys. What I'm interested to see is how much of William Karlsson gets Connor McDavid. Obviously, 2 years ago in that playoff series, they were heavily matching William Karlsson against Connor McDavid, and in Edmonton, the Oilers were trying to avoid that matchup. Now, William Karlsson is not playing with Marchessault and Smith and high-end guys like that. He's kind of playing with some middle six guys, Alexander Holtz and Tanner Pearson. I'm curious if they still see that as a shutdown line and want to play it against McDavid to maybe get the Eichel Stone line out there against somebody else, and let them try to go for more offense, or if we see Eichel Stone against McDavid more of the night. It's going to be that's one of the interesting things I'm waiting to see.
What have they done this year? Have you noticed? Has Cassidy shown a propensity for a certain matchup and what he likes at times?
It's hard to tell because Karlsson missed the first part of the year. Okay, He was still out, so they're just getting him back for a few games. So it's kind of tough to tell. Eichel has gotten the majority of the tough matchups, which makes sense. He's their top guy. So I think either of them are comfortable playing against the McDavid line. I mean, as comfortable as anyone can be playing against that guy. But I would expect to see both of them against him. But yeah, for me, I'm very interested to see if they still see Karlsson as that shutdown line without maybe the high-end wingers that he's had in the past.
Jesse, we'll see you at the rink, man. Thanks for your time as always. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right. There you go. That's Jesse Granger joining us from The Athletic in Vegas. The Golden Knights coming in. Man, they're scoring a lot of goals, but they are leaking a bit 5-on-5 as well. So they've allowed 6 more goals 5-on-5 than the Oilers, and Edmonton's played more games thus far. But they've also scored almost twice as many goals as the Oilers 5-on-5. 40 for Vegas, only 21 for the Oilers. And Edmonton's played 13 games. Obviously, the Oilers 5-on-5. We've talked about it a lot. Chances, great. Finishing, terrible. And so, I've always said this. Scoring chances don't win you games. Shots on goal don't win you games. Goals win you games. It's just how it is. And the Oilers need more goals 5-on-5. They obviously have to limit goals on the penalty kill. Their penalty kill is horrific at 60% so far. In case you're wondering, last year, remember the first 13 games and they made the coaching change? They were, in those games, 70% on the penalty kill. This year, 60%. They did turn it around and were the 6th best team in the NHL after that at 81.7%. Can they get back to that? we'll see. There's a few things. Looked at some film and crunched some numbers on where are some of the issues. They've given up 5 goals off of screens on the penalty kill this year. Fun fact for you. Did you know that screenshots have a much higher percentage chance of scoring, 40%, than you do on breakaways? So screens, very valuable. So when you hear, you don't get traffic in front, it matters. It makes a big difference. Let's get to Declan Kruger and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice as they celebrate 25 years. They're bringing back some of the faves, the original creamsicle. Check it out right now in store or download the Boosters Reward app. Order one today.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, the Edmonton Oilers in action tonight as they play host to the Vegas Golden Knights with a 6:30 p.m. puck drop. Connor McDavid returning to action in this one for the Edmonton Oilers, and will center the top line with Jeff Skinner and Zach Hyman on his wings. 2 other games in the NHL tonight, the Predators and Capitals at 5, and the Wings and Blackhawks at 6. News in the hockey world, St. Louis Blues forward Dylan Holloway stayed at the hospital overnight after taking a puck to the neck last night's game, but said he feels good today and that he aims to play on Thursday. Colorado Avalanche head coach Jared Bednar said today that Captain Gabriel Landeskog has had a setback as he continues to recover from a knee injury that has kept him from playing since Game 6 of the 2022 Stanley Cup Finals. Other news around the sporting world in the NFL is GM of the Cleveland Browns, Andrew Berry, has been, quote, non-committal about Deshaun Watson's future in Cleveland, and in the MLB, Juan Soto will take his time surveying the free agent market before signing with the team, according to his agent. 12 games in the NBA today. All gets going with 2 games at 5 p.m. Detroit and Charlotte, and Orlando and Indiana. In hour number 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Josh Lewenberg to talk some Toronto Raptors and Dave McCarthy as we go around the NHL. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meats, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality toppings. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
As the Grand Slam of Curling takes place at the Silent Ice Center, Curling Alberta's 50/50 will be supporting grassroots curling in Beaumont. Monies raised will go towards supporting junior curling in Beaumont. So get your 50/50 tickets today at curlbeaumont.ca.
Get early access to real Black Friday prices now at The Brick. Save up to 65% off select sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining room furniture. Plus, save up to $700 off a big screen TV and get free shipping on TVs over 50 inches. Find 40% off mattresses and next day delivery on in-stock beds. Plus, save 3 times the tax when you buy 2 or more Samsung major kitchen appliances. Find a lower price before the end of the year and The Brick will refund the difference. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there. Now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast.
Wonderful.
A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the Marathon, the Original, and the Orangesicle. Made with oranges, orange sorbet, and vanilla frozen yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Often when I meet people at a party or I'm hanging out at my favorite restaurants, I'll introduce myself and they'll say, "Oh, you're Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. What can I do about this sore knee?" It's been bugging me for months. First, I was thinking, when I'm out like this, I should just tweet my location so people know where to come for a consultation. But then I thought, I'm spending all this money on advertising Leading Edge. Maybe you could come by one of our clinics. That's where we have the technology and really smart physiotherapists who can give you all the advice and treatment you need. Have your people call my people, leadingedgephysio.com.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Swing by Nisku Ford today, and we'll show you how to take advantage of November rebates of up to $10,000 or access finance rates as low as 0%. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
Iron Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. Catch the most anticipated battle of the year right here. The venue at River Cree Resort and Casino. Don't miss the Tyson versus Paul boxing watch party. Friday, November 15th. The biggest screens in the city. For $25, enjoy an all-you-can-eat buffet. Plus, drink features and great prizes. Doors open at 5 p.m. Action starts at 6 p.m. Tickets are limited, so get yours now at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Just after 3 o'clock. Game day. Welcome back. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, live on OilersNation YouTube and Facebook and X, Instagram. Also, those of you who listen on the app, wherever you are, around the city, province, the country. It's great. So take it wherever you want. It's easy. It's simple. It's on your phone, and it's crystal clear wherever you are at iHeartRadio. Of course, go to the Stingray app or the radio player app. So loads of fun. Now, we will have Dave McCarthy, Josh Lundberg join us a little bit later on. Yaremchuk will be by. Spec. We'll get to the pregame show. Also, chat about your opportunity. Who doesn't like to win free stuff? So you know what we'll do? We'll do a little trivia right now. So you can get on the line, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 is the phone number. Up for grabs, you're going to get a $50 GC to use at McDonald's. And the best part is, all we'll need from you is your name, mailing address, and we will mail it out to you. So 833-401-1440. Let's see. I'm not going to ask the question until we get the lines full. Give everybody the equal opportunity. See what we got. 833-401-1440 is the number to call. Up for grabs, $50 GC at McDonald's. Very easy. So we'll get to that in a second. While Deckman answers the lines. Hey guys, we lost our, in hindsight, we lost our best PK guys this summer. McLeod, Fogle, Vinny's Lawn Stick, it all helped when we focused on shoring up our biggest strengths instead of focusing on our weakness. Brutal offseason management. Talladega. Well, so what was your biggest weakness then? if you're saying the PK was a strength. So the PK became pretty strong, 100%. But so did their 5-on-5 scoring. So did their 5-on-5 defending. So did their power play. Now I've looked at the penalty kill, and I broke it down today at OilersNation.com. And what's interesting is, did you know? Fun fact: the Oilers are allowing the exact same amount of shots against per 60 so far this year than they did last year. Exact same. Now, you know what's down? Block shots. And obviously saves. So now how different is that? I'm not sure. Are those shots ones that could be blocked? I don't know. They do have 5 goals against off of screens so far this year, just on the PK. I look at the one thing I notice, I do think continuity is a factor. Yeah, I said at the start, I said, guys, you're going to miss Cody Ceci way more than people think. Oh, Gregor, you're an idiot. Ceci's terrible. Well, are you sure he's terrible? Wasn't really overpaid. Not at all. At $3 million. So him and Desharnais, 2 of your right guys on your penalty kill, I think that matters. Right now, if I look at their penalty kill, they need some more saves from their goalies. There's no question. When people say your best penalty killer has to be your goalie, that's right in a lot of cases. And they've shown they can do that before. They only allowed 4 goals in the whole playoffs, and they scored 3 shorties. They were -1. Right? It was the greatest penalty kill in NHL history amongst teams that made it to the 3rd round or later, and 3rd best amongst a team who ever even won 1 round. So it was historically good. But yeah, they missed. I don't really think Foegele and McLeod play a factor because, you got Henrique, you got Nugent Hopkins, you got Brown, you got Janmark. Brown and Janmark are really good penalty killers. Nugent Hopkins, so are Henrique. So I don't worry as much about that. I do think on the back end that impacts it. I think Darnell Nurse could play better. I think his biggest concern that I see right now is on the penalty kill. He's trying to do too damn much. Just stay in your position. Trust your other guys. Stay on your side. That would be my message right away. All right, let's get to a little trivia. 833-401-1440 as we go to Mitch. Mitch, good afternoon. How you doing?
Pretty good. You?
I am excellent. So, Mitch, very easy. Well, maybe not that easy, but can you tell me which defenseman currently leads the NHL in 5-on-5 scoring?
5-on-5. Makar?
No, not Makar. Thanks for playing. 833-401-1440. Matthew, can you tell me which D-man leads NHL in 5-on-5 scoring?
Oh, my guess was going to be Makar. I will say, Brant Clark's got 12 assists. Probably not him.
No, not Brant Clark. Good guess, though. I like it. Thinking outside the box, but not him. 833-401-1440. We go to Rob. Rob, do you know the answer? Who leads NHL defenseman in 5-on-5 scoring?
I'm going to take a shot and say Pietrangelo.
See, I always try to, didn't give any hints, but it is, of course, who the Oilers' opposition tonight is indeed Alex Pietrangelo, who has 11. He's got 1 goal, 10 assists, 5-on-5, as Vegas has been a dominant team. They lead the league with 40 5-on-5 goals, and he's been in on 11 of them. All right, well, congratulations. Stay on the line. Declan's going to get your name and your mailing address, and we'll be sending you the $50 GC courtesy of McDonald's. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go. Yes, Pietrangelo has 11. Rasmus Anderson has 9. Makar, Neil Pionk, and Owen Power each have 8. And then there's a host of guys, Quinn Hughes, Bowen Byram, Brant Clark, and Phil Broberg, each with 7. Matthias Ekholm, Owner fans, he has 6, tied with Orlov and Ekman Larson and a few other guys. So there you go. Obviously, the Oilers, they're looking for some more 5-on-5 scoring from everybody at this point. But you look at Vegas, and I mentioned it's not just Pietrangelo. You look at their entire team has been lighting it up 5-on-5. As I mentioned, they got 40 goals. So you get 40 goals through 12 games, I should say, at 5. Like, that's a ridiculous amount. Now, We did have Jesse Granger on, and he talked about how, you know what, they're shooting out the lights. They're kind of the opposite of the Oilers. Everything that they seem to be shooting is going in. The Oilers right now can't score. They're life dependent on it, so that's a factor. But you look at, so Barbashev and Pietrangelo each have 11 points. Barbashev has 6 goals. Eichel has 10 points, 3 goals. Stone has 9 points, 3 goals. Keegan Kolesar, who's on their fourth line, has 4 goals and 8 points. Nicholas Raw, who's their fourth line center, has 3 goals, 8 points. Doroviev has 4 goals, 7 points. Thomas Hertl, Pearson, 6 points. Holtz, Brett Howden, who has 4 goals, 5 points. Like, they're all rolling. Every skater has at least 2 points, 5-on-5 for them. And, oh, no, that's not true. What's his name has only played 7 games, so I can't include him. But I should say any of the regular guys who have played. So it's pretty good. So the Oilers, they got to be on their toes tonight because they're getting scoring up and down their lineup. It's not like now their top line is still the highest scoring 5-on-5 line in the NHL. But I just mentioned their fourth line. You got 2 guys with 8 points 5-on-5 on their fourth line in Kolesar and Nicholas Waugh. Now, shooting percentages, you read out some of the numbers. Barbashev, 31%. Jack Eichel, 13. Stone, 17. Kolesar, 36. Nick Raw, 16. Doroviev, 16.5. Tanner Pearson, 27. Brett Howden, 16. So, Victor Olofsson, 12.5. Do you want me to mention what the Oilers, just for fun, just so you can see kind of the difference right now, I'll give you the Oilers shooting percentages 5-on-5. Now, Draisaitl, very good at 26. Corey Perry's at 16.6. Bouchard, 11.5. McDavid's at 9.5. So they have 3 guys in double digits in shooting percentage. And obviously, they only got 11 guys who have scored a goal 5-on-5 in 13 games. So, guys like Arvidsson at 3.7, Hyman's at 3.5, Brown's at 4, Nugent Hopkins is at 6. Heck, Jeff Skinner, you know what? He's shooting a lot, but he's at 8.33, which is about, I got to look at what Skinner's average is in his career. 5-on-5, his shooting percentage. Well, normally he's in double digits. He's had a few years where he's 8, but the years where he's like a few years ago, he scored 25 and 25, 12, 14. So even if he gets up around, 11, 5-on-5, that's pretty realistic for him. So even he's a little bit below where he's at. So obviously, Draisaitl's the one guy who is, killing it 5-on-5 scoring. Got 5 goals, 26% shooter. And he's always been a pretty good shooter. He's not a high volume shooter. He's a high volume scorer is what Leon Draisaitl is. 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, I wonder if there is some McDavid fatigue when it comes to calling penalties. Ryan from Bentley. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't even looked, to be honest, this year in where guys are at as far as drawing penalty. I think it should be important because I know people will go to natural stat trick, but keep in mind that they include any penalty. So if it's a penalty drawn on a coincidental roughing, it still counts as a. That's why guys like Brad Marchand, Kachuk, guys who fight a bit, right? Like Tanner Jeannot, it says he's got 10 penalties drawn, but 3 of them are fights. So, and then how many of the other ones are coincidental roughings, which happens with guys like Marchand and Kachuk, etc. But yeah, the Oilers don't have anybody this year. Now, McDavid, I understand at times, I think it's valid to say there looks to be a few hooks where you're like, how is that not called? I think that's fair. I'm not sure it's as often as everybody thinks, but I would say in the course of a year, there's probably 10 that I think are kind of, how did you miss that? Then there might be some others that are on the line, sure. But I think there's usually, there's a few and you're just like, how is that not a penalty? So, why is that? It's a great question. Are referees out of position? Possibly. Remember, we had Kerry Fraser on for years, and he talked about usually when an official misses a blatant call, it's due to them not being in the right position. And so the angle that they're at, they can't see the infraction. You don't want that to happen, but it does. Players get in the wrong angle sometimes. It leads to goals against. The officials in a fast-moving game sometimes are going to be in the wrong position. You don't want it, but it does happen. Dave McCarthy will join us next when we return. Then Josh Lundberg and more. We'll also hear, if you missed it, Connor McDavid, his breakdown of what is lacking on the Oilers' power play. They need to get a little bit of excitement back in it, but he said they're retrievals. Number one, retrievals. They got to improve the retrievals. They're not getting second, third, and fourth opportunities because they're not retrieving pucks enough. It's kind of one and done. And that's where they got to get back. And all the shot totals match it. The Oilers have been the highest shot volume team in the NHL the last 3 years. No surprise, I mean the best power play too. But they thrive on multiple chances. That's not happening. You know where the Oilers rank this year in shots per 60 on the power play? 30th. At 38. They were at 67 the last 3 years. Almost half. So yeah, it's pretty obvious when you say shoot to the puck more. They got to go get the puck so they can shoot it more. We'll return to the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton. Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
When interest rates are low, that's a good time to buy a vehicle. And 0% means it's a great time to buy. Right now, St. Albert Dodge can set you up with 0% financing on hundreds of vehicles. Virtually all new 2024 models. Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0%. Dodge Durango and Hornet. 0%. Ram 1500, 2500, and 3500 trucks, all as low as 0%. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Ready to tackle your toughest tasks? Edmonton Kubota has you covered with the all-new M8 Series tractor with powerful 181 and 201 horsepower engines, Cummins power, and loader readiness. It's built to handle any challenge. And now, for a limited time, get a free 4-year extended warranty when you drive off with an M8 Series tractor. Don't miss out on this unbeatable offer. Visit Edmonton Kubota today and power up your productivity. Edmonton Kubota, where power meets performance.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
You've heard people say dream big and think about your future. Well, at GS Construction, we live by those words every day. You see, GS Construction lays pipes in the underground systems in your area. So we don't just think about today. We think about tomorrow and the future of Edmonton's communities and neighborhoods, the places we call home and the places we will call home. We're there when new neighborhoods are developed and return when it's time to replace them. For more on what we do, go to gsconstruction.ca.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
I have a startling fact. Prostate cancer affects 1 in 6 Alberta men. This could be your brother, son, father, grandfather, or friend. This November, through our Keep It in Alberta campaign, we're raising money to build a new man van, bringing free, life-saving prostate cancer testing directly to Alberta men. Thanks to our partner, the Agate Foundation, every donation will be matched up to $350,000, doubling your impact. Be part of the fight to eliminate advanced prostate cancer. Visit keepitinalberta.ca to donate today.
The zero-turn blowout sales event is on now at the Lawnmower Hospital. Get great savings on all in-stock zero-turn tractors from trusted brands like Toro, Country Clipper, and Hustler Turf. Backpack blowers are in stock for the leaves and fall cleanup. And of course, the snow. Our Toro snowblowers are in stock now too. Be prepared because winter will be here soon. LawnmowerHosp.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
Game day on a Wednesday afternoon. Remember, it's a little bit of an early start tonight for the Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. We like to be specific on this show. 6:44 will be the puck drop tonight. 6:44, the Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Silent Ice Center. Well, they are hosting the Co-op Canadian Open going on right now. If you're big curling fans, some of the best men and women's teams in the world are going at it right now through until the Sunday. So once again, get your tickets at silenticecenter.com. It's a fantastic facility. I see people coming in from the country that, this is obviously on TV and everything. And they're just like, oh my God, this is one of the best facilities they've been in. So it's a great place to watch the best curling action. So enjoy it. silenticecenter.com. As we welcome back to the program. Normally he's on Tuesdays, but we move things around so he could do his real job. And he's now on Wednesday. Davey, how you doing?
Good, Jason. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, just another day. There is actually lots going on in the NHL. It's an interesting start to the season. Some surprise teams, some teams that are struggling, some teams you're still kind of like, well, I'm not sure what you got there. Boston had 2 back-to-back shutouts over the weekend. Everyone's like, okay, they're back to normal. And then boom, they get shut out by the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. And, the Maple Leafs, like the Oilers did for a few games, step out without their best player.
It's funny how that works, eh? And I talked to Craig Berube about that before the game yesterday. I said, in your history coaching in the game, have you noticed a trend like that where a team loses a guy like a Connor McDavid or an Austin Matthews, and at least in the short term has immediate success? And he said, yeah. He said, what happens is you get guys who come in, all of a sudden they know the pressure's against them. They're generally going to be elevated in the lineup, whether you're moving up from the second line to the first line. Maybe you're jumping onto the power play when you don't normally do that. In last night's case, Austin Matthews, big part of the penalty kill for Toronto as well this year. So David Kampf had to elevate into those minutes, and he did an excellent job on the penalty kill. He said, guys, take that responsibility to heart, and oftentimes will excel in it for the short term. If you lose a guy like McDavid or Matthews for, 2 months, 3 months, there's a reason why they are as good as they are and that their teams rely on them as they do. You can't necessarily steady the ship for that long, but for a period of 2 weeks, you can ask guys to elevate in the lineup, and it tends to be the case where they do have success. In Toronto's case, it's actually bizarre. It's stupid how good they are without Matthews all time. They're 36, 19, and 2. 36, 19, and 2 without Matthews available. So try and explain that one.
Yeah. Well, some things are unexplainable, Dave. I can't get it. Kind of like the Boston Bruins and the amount of penalties that are involved in their games. The Bruins are the most penalized team. They're getting the most power plays. Like, it's a constant trip to the penalty box. Like, they can't be happy taking that many penalties. There's no, like, they've taken double the amount of penalties as Vegas has so far this year. Double.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, watching them, they looked like an uncharacteristic, undisciplined team. You think of Boston as a team in the past that would always find a way, especially against Toronto, to find where the line is and go all but a toenail over the line, but find a way to stay on the right side of the line. And that's why in playoff matchups in years gone by, Boston's power play has always done such a good job against Toronto, because typically they have the advantage on the man advantage within games, at least in terms of number of opportunities. But, just looking at some of the penalties that they took last night, just dumb, needless penalties that you don't need to take. And when you're trying to come out of a bad start, makes it all that much more difficult. So Jim Montgomery was pretty forthright after the game. He said, look, special teams were the difference in the game, right? We gave up 3 power play goals, couldn't kill, and they had 6 power plays themselves. The Leafs went 6 for 6 on the penalty kill. So that was the difference in the game. He said you can't put yourself in a position where you're taking needless, stupid penalties when you're fighting it as Boston is right now. So it's a little bit surprising, because you're just not used to seeing that team. Essentially at times it looked like they lost their heads last night against Toronto.
Yeah, well, they look frustrated to me at times. And so I wonder if they're, obviously maybe they want to be off to a better start, yada, yada, yada. But, there's lots of teams not off to great starts that aren't taking, an endless trip to the penalty bench. The New York Islanders, Dave, I thought weren't going to be a playoff team to begin the season. Now they're absolutely crushed with injuries. I know it's early, and some people say it's too early, but there's a few teams, Dave, like when the season began at Anaheim, San Jose, I gave no chance to make the playoffs. I gave the Chicago Blackhawks no chance to make the playoffs. The Philadelphia Flyers, Montreal Canadiens were all in my no chance. I am now adding the New York Islanders to the no chance pile. Is it too early?
I don't know, because you look at that Metro division and you look at the teams that they're going to have to catch. I'll admit, wrong on the Carolina Hurricanes. I was concerned about them coming into the year. I think we talked in the summer. I think you shared some element of concern. Yes. Am I putting words in your mouth there with Carolina, or no?
I thought Carolina was a playoff team. I thought they might, because of losing 2 of their top 4 defensemen, you might see them, maybe not run away and dominate that division. I thought they might battle for third, but no, I thought they were the playoff team all day long. I always use the caveat and their goaltending health, which is living up to the question.
Yeah, well, Freddie Anderson out again long term, which is unfortunate. But so anyway, I mean, with Carolina, I don't know. I probably would have bet that 4 or 5 they'd be in that mix. They'd have to battle. I mean, they're playing great here in the early going. We'll see if goaltending eventually catches up to them. But New Jersey, the Rangers, and Washington, I was really excited about. And all 3 of those teams have proved me right. Carolina's built such a cushion now that they're in pretty good shape. They're 6 points up on the Islanders. They got 2 games in hand. It's early to start looking at standings like that, but when you're already a team that I thought the Islanders would be on the bubble, you've dug yourself that kind of a hole, and now you have injuries to the degree of significance that they do, with guys like Matt Barzal and Adam Pelech, who they rely on, and Alex Romanov and Mike Riley are guys that play roles on that blue line. You get into this time of the year where you get close to American Thanksgiving in a couple of weeks, you start to dig yourself a hole. Historically speaking, it becomes very, very difficult to dig out of it, especially when you have quality teams in front of you in the standings as they do. Problem for the Islanders, unlike a lot of the teams that you mentioned in your group of teams that had no chance coming into the year, all of which I agree with, by the way, is that they should not be in that category right now. They're not built to be a team that is looking ahead toward the future. They've got a lot of guys on bigger money and longer term where they've essentially built their roster that I think they feel can contend. But like I never looked at them as a contender. At best, they look like a murky middle type of team. So to have your roster built that way and to fall short of the playoffs, but probably not short enough where you're getting a real quality draft pick, just it puts you into that purgatory in the NHL, like the Leafs were in for a number of years where they just missed, but were never really bad enough until they really bottomed out when Shanahan came 10 years ago. You look at teams like the Calgary Flames for a number of years after their run to the Cup final in 2004. There was a period of time where it just, to everybody except people who ran the team, it became clear that run was over, yet they kept hanging on with the Iginlas and the Conroys and those type of people until, they wasted 2 or 3 or 4 years where they could have started to turn the page and they didn't. And that's kind of where I see the Islanders right now, because it's going to be difficult to move salaries if they decide to do so, but they're not going to be bad enough where they're really injecting new elite level young talent into the lineup that quickly. I don't like where the Islanders are in. And it looked like after they went to those two conference finals, they might have got a little, loyal, if you will, to the guys who got them there, signed some guys to longer term deals. And they're now in a position where they've locked into a team that's just not going to be nearly good enough to contend for a Stanley Cup.
Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM joins us. Davey, Connor McDavid comes back in the lineup tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. If I would have asked you at the start of the season, areas of concern for the Oilers, if you had one and rank them, you're like, okay, power play, no. 5-on-5 scoring, probably not. Penalty kill, defensive 5-on-5. Most people would have said defending 5-on-5 because of the defense they lost. Maybe someone has said, well, maybe the penalty kill. But the penalty kill's been awful, worse in the league. The power play isn't much better. And their 5-on-5 scoring, chances, schmances, their 5-on-5 scoring is brutal. So I look at it, their 5-on-5 defending's been the best part of their game, which is, I guess, good news in the sense that you would still think the 5-on-5 scoring and the power play are going to get going. The penalty kill is a lot longer process, I would think. But how surprised are you that the Oilers' best element of their game through 13 has been their 5-on-5 defending?
Surprised, because I did think that was going to be an area of weakness, especially their back end. I thought, okay, well, they've got the horses that'll get them to the deadline, but they're going to have to go out and add to that group. I mean, losing Philip Broberg was probably not in their plans. Not probably, definitely not in their plans. And he was penciled in, if not in pen this year, to play a real role with this group. And he looked good when he got in the lineup in the back half of the playoff run last year. So that was an unexpected kind of absence, so to speak, albeit they boxed themselves into a tight spot where they couldn't offer him the money that he wanted or even close to it. And then they got boxed in with the offer sheet. But I thought, yeah, that's probably an area where they're going to have to upgrade. Now, I still think that is going to be the case, but I'm still confident that the scoring is going to come back. They just have too much talent on that team that is still very much in the primes of their careers for it to dry up. Like, do we think that McDavid and Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins and Zach Hyman and guys like that they brought in, Victor Arvidsson, Jeff Skinner, that they're just not going to score this year? Yeah, they're going through a dry spell. But I do think that it will come. You say they've been getting chances. The games that I've watched, it looks like they're around. They just can't shoot it in. Look, I'm not a big expected goals guy either. I like actual goals, but this is a team that, to me, I'm just still not concerned about, because I do have faith that talent is going to break through, and that the teams in front of them, Calgary, nice story to start the year.
Yeah.
Over 82 games, man, I don't see that staying. So I think they'll come back to the pack. Is LA the team that we're seeing right now at 8-3-3 through 14 games? Like, I have questions about their ability to score consistently enough. You know, they've had some guys that have been a little bit slow to start the year. Like Quentin Byfield had 20 goals last year. I think he's got 1 this year. So, you know, could that sort of come back to their favor, and could that help them sustain where they've maybe, but I'm still skeptical that they'll be able to keep themselves where they are. And so that's why I look at Edmonton, and I still don't think it's time for panic yet. If people are, I would urge caution. It's not a devastating start like it was last year for Edmonton, where they really needed to go on a hell of a run. And, you know, what did they win there? The 14 games in a row. They don't have to do that this year. They just need to get it rolling and start winning 2 or 3 games, 2 out of every 3 games. They're going to be just fine. So, no, I'm not concerned. They just have too much talent that it'll eventually start to come through. And would it shock you at all if Connor McDavid gets back in the lineup and goes gangbusters and puts up a 4 spot tonight? You know.
Well, I actually went back through last season and, you know, was looking, because we see some guys, because, you know, we've had people asking about, you know, hot starts, slow starts, all those sorts of things. Now, Nathan McKinnon just had a huge game last night with 5 assists. So that puts him, suddenly skyrockets him to the top of the scoring race. But he was close anyway. He was like 7th or 8th. But prior to that, you look at where McKinnon at this, you know, through, I think it was up until November 4th last year. And he was 9 points behind Kucherov, and then ended up 2nd in the NHL. He was actually, I think he was 54th in scoring. He had 9 points in his first 10 games, kind of by his standards, pedestrian a little bit, and then took off. And well, McDavid has 10 and 10. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if, you know, he could still score 130 points. We just saw it from McKinnon last year. And, you know, that's where I look at some of the guys who are in the top 10 now, top 15, and like Marty Necas, Mark Stone. Do you think that's, you know, is that sustainable for them? Even a guy like Sam Reinhart, are these guys that are going to push 95 points, or do you just think it's a super hot start and eventually they get back to maybe more 70 to 80 points?
Yeah, Sam Reinhart I could see sticking. I mean, he's a big part of their offense down there in Florida. He plays a big role in the power play, and he's shown that what he was able to do last year is not necessarily a fluke. Does he end up with, you know, 54 goals, whatever it was, mid 50s, or does he end up with like 43? And you look at that and say, that's a great year. Like if you had told me coming into the season, you know, would you be happy if you're a Panthers fan, if you're the Florida Panthers, if Sam Reinhart ends up with 43 goals this year instead of mid 50s? I think most people would have signed off and said, yeah, like that's a really good year. And scoring mid 50s, that's hard. You don't do that every year. You know, when you look at guys' statistical seasons over the course of their career, ultimately something becomes the high, right? And that's probably the high. So do I see him continuing? Maybe not to the extent he started off at, but if he ended up with 43, 4 or 5 goals and, you know, 85, close to 90 points, that wouldn't surprise me at all, just because of the role he plays, the minutes he plays, where he plays on the power play, the chemistry that he's found. No, it wouldn't surprise me. Marty Necas, he's a younger guy, and he's been elevated in the lineup. He's getting opportunity, and he's running with it. And we'll start to see now if he can be a guy that is an 85-plus point guy. Right now, he's a big part of why Carolina has had success. Mark Stone, I would be most surprised if that pace keeps up. 1, just because he does have a tendency to miss periods of time for injury, and 2, I don't think offense is really what his game is all about. He's a guy that, especially later on into the season, gets tasked with playing against other teams' top players, and he excels in that role as a guy that can handle those type of minutes. He's got an elite stick, often leads the league in takeaways. And I find as the year goes on, he starts to take on some of those responsibilities to keep the other team's top players at bay. So he's had a real hot start. I would be most surprised to see that continue. But Reinhart and Necas, no, I could see them. They could absolutely be in the 85-plus point range. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Davey, good to catch up with you, my man. we will chat with you on Sunday on the brunch.
Beautiful. Thanks for being accommodating this week, buddy.
Anytime. No problemo. That's Dave McCarthy from SiriusXM. He usually joins us on Tuesday, but he had some work to do. Big commitments. His home game yesterday in Toronto, so he had some other stuff to do. So we moved to Wednesday. Normally, though, he's a money guy on Tuesday. Coming up later on in the program today, we're going to hear Josh Lundberg right away. We'll talk a little basketball, just some interesting stuff at the college ranks and even in the NBA. Yaremchuk will be by. Connor McDavid. If you're just joining us, Connor McDavid is playing tonight. He's going to play with Jeff Skinner and Zach Hyman. Draisaitl's line stays the same with Podkolzin and Arvidsson. Nugent Hopkins will center Henrique and Brown. And Derek Ryan will center Janmark and Corey Perry. Noah Philp has been sent back to Bakersfield. They need bodies. They don't even have enough help. They played with 10 forwards last night in Calgary and still won. Good for them. So there you go. In goal, of course, Stuart Skinner. And the defense pairings will be Bouchard-Dacombe, Nurse Stetcher, Kulak, and Emberson. Take a quick break. We'll return on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Use the promo code Gregor50, and you'll get a free play in the month of November. That's Gregor50 at PlayAlberta.ca.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order noodle at oodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order noodle at oodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
Gateway Toyota treats us like we're precious gems.
Because that's what we are.
Every vehicle purchased from Gateway Toyota includes enrollment into their GEM program.
It stands for Gateway Exclusive Membership.
And it gives you 5-year access to over $2,500 in benefits.
Free oil changes.
Free tire and windshield repair.
Free car washes.
Even an annual detailing.
You'll also get special discounts, trade-in bonuses, and referral rewards.
I feel like a gem.
At Gateway Toyota, just off Calgary Trail at Ellerslie Road.
At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meat, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality topping. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is On the Rocks. Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
When it comes to your health, trust Dr. Bryce Henderson for expert care in hip and knee replacements. With years of experience and advanced techniques, Dr. Henderson helps you regain your mobility and quality of life.
Your health is my priority. Let's get you back to doing what you love.
Put your health in the hands of a trusted expert. Book your consultation with Dr. Henderson today. Visit vitalsurgicalspecialist.ca or call 587-391-7864.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
Michelle and Colette are sisters. Sisters who don't agree on much, especially when it comes to which hockey team is the best.
Edmonton is the best, baby. Vancouver's number one.
Even when it comes to meat snacks from Wilhawks.
I love the Harris Schweiner. The ham sausage rules.
But they will agree.
Wilhawk beef jerky is the best.
It might just be the only thing Alberta hockey fans can agree on.
Others can try to imitate, but no one can duplicate Wilhawk beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win friends with salad.
A career in the public service is better in Alberta. Better wages, lower taxes. Better job opportunities with our thriving economy. Better chances for advancement. Plus a better future with new investment in healthcare and education. Public service. It's better here. Learn more and discover new career opportunities in the public sector at alberta.ca/betterhere. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Roll into fun with Bowl Canada. Our kids' bowling leagues are the perfect way to let your child make new friends and learn new skills. Visit bowlcanada.ca now to get rolling. Let's make memories one frame at a time.
Take the pain out of airport parking with Park to Go. Your first-class parking experience. Book self-serve and valet parking and save up to 30%. Book now with promo code RADIOYEG. That's RADIOYEG.
.347. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Declan Kruger with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. And ex-Oilers fans are excited. Well, hey, your game's back on TV. Although I know many of you probably had, and it was interesting, the feedback we got, because we asked people, what was your thoughts on the first game you might have watched on Prime? Some of you are like, man, the feed was amazing. I loved it. And then others are like, it was grainy. It sucks. I wonder, does that have to do with the internet feed in your own home? Is that a factor? Honestly, I don't know. I was at the game, but I wonder how much of that is factor, because it was interesting how we had both sides. Some thought it was great. Others thought the quality sucked. So is that the quality of internet at your place? Which, that in itself might be a bigger issue. So I was just curious. None of us like change for the most part. Let's be real. And like I said, if people really don't want it to go that way, then you kind of have to bite the bullet and just not watch those games. Because if you say, well, I hate it, but I'm going to watch it, then it's going to come here for good. That's just how it's going to be. Now, let's talk a little basketball. Lots of stories. Of course, NHL is underway. The NBA is going on as we go to our NBA report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home to no payments, no interest for 1 full year on your AC unit. Furnace. Stay warm all winter. LegacyHeating.ca. Josh Lewinberg from TSN joins us. And Josh, I know when we had you on at the start of the season, most people expected to be a tough year for the Raptors. Then you factor in the fact that they got some key injuries early on. Man, they took Denver right. They were into the lead for the majority of that game, and then unfortunately couldn't hold on. And they're 2-6. And I hate to say it, it might be a painful, but a really tough year where you lose a lot and get a higher pick is probably the best thing for this organization and where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and I'm not sure how popular this statement is going to be, but this might be the best case scenario. You mentioned one of the reasons why. I think you could certainly argue, as I have, that in order to really build something sustainable here, you need another top draft pick in a really good draft in order to pair with Scotty Barnes and Emmanuel Quickly and to build out the core, the foundation of this team. And it just so happens that this upcoming draft is supposed to be really, really good. So yeah, I think in that sense, losing a lot this year could be really good for the long-term health of this franchise. But at the same time, look, I don't think any of us want to sit through some of the caliber of seasons that we've seen from this franchise, especially early in their existence 25, 30 years ago. You still want to see certainly progress, but you want to see a team that is playing hard, that is entertaining and is fun. So yeah, you mentioned the Denver game. We could actually talk about both Denver games because they were pretty much the same in terms of game script. And then a few of these other games so far, basically every game except for the opener against Cleveland has been competitive. So yeah, they're losing, which in a lot of ways could be good for this team. They're playing hard and playing for the most part pretty well considering the injuries that you mentioned and the degree of difficulty of some of these games, which is good. And then I also think, like, zoom in and individually, we're seeing a lot of progress. We're seeing those strides from Grady Dick and from Ochai Agbaji, from the rookies. I mean, Jamal Shed and Jonathan Bobo, a second-round pick, guys that you don't really know what to expect coming into the season. The fact that they're playing really solid rotation minutes right now, there's a lot to like. So, yeah, look, I mean, obviously you want to skip to the end of the process and be a contending team, but if we were realistic, we knew that was not going to happen this year. And if you were to get Masai Ujiri or Bobby Webster on Truth Serum, they probably tell you, yeah, like this is probably the best case scenario if this continues to go on as it has been, where you're losing games, but you're doing it in a self-respecting way that's not embarrassing to the players or the team or the fan base, and you continue to prepare for what's to come in the years to come.
You look at their start, and it's kind of expected, but then there's some other teams that are actually below them in the standings right now. The 76ers and the Bucks. 1-5 for the 76ers, 1-6 for the Bucks. Like, people like those two teams, there was and they could easily, rebound, but kind of a shocking start at how bad those two teams have been.
Yeah, I mean, probably more so Milwaukee, just because the context is so important with Philadelphia. I mean, they've been playing without 2/3 of their big three. In some ways, like, you can almost understand why some teams, Philadelphia in particular, are like slow playing things in the Eastern Conference right now. Like, there is no sense of urgency from some of these teams, sense of urgency that I would imagine they would have if they were in the Western Conference, where there's almost no room for error, where you lose a bunch of games even early in the season, you could fall behind quick. And if you fall behind, like in the West, you could be a play-in team. You could miss out on the play-in altogether, or even, like, best case scenario for some of the struggling teams in the Western Conference is you squeeze into the playoffs, but you're like 6, 7, 8, and face one of those juggernauts at the top. In the East, like, there's a little bit more room for error. At the same time, like, you don't want to just squeeze in, because if you're the 8th seed, you're probably going to be playing Boston, and then it's curtains for you in the first round. But at the same time, like, Philadelphia, well, I'm sure Philadelphia is thinking, especially with Nick Nurse having gone through something similar before with load management and Kawhi in Toronto, is they're thinking, like, the regular season no longer matters for them. They just need to get in. They're not being judged by what happens during the regular season. I'll rephrase that, because they're being judged harshly right now in Philadelphia by what's going on. But in the grand scheme of things, like, if they do get over the hump in the playoffs, nobody is going to be saying, oh, remember that time that you didn't play Joel Embiid in October? So, like, they've got the big picture in mind. It's just about getting into a position where they feel like they can really go on a run late in the year in and into the playoffs. And if they end up finishing, I don't know, 6, 5, like even if they don't have home court advantage and they end up playing like Cleveland or something. Like, Cleveland's really good, but I don't know if you have a healthy Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey in the playoffs, I'm not sure you're afraid of anyone other than maybe Boston. So, yeah, I just think, like, there's a different bar right now in the Eastern Conference in terms of, like, what the immediate goals are compared to what they are out West.
Are the Golden State Warriors back?
They might be. I mean, the West, as I said, is really, really tough, but it's hard to rule out a team that has Steph Curry and Draymond Green and is coached by Steve Kerr. Like, that in and of itself is always going to make you interesting. And even over the last few years, as they haven't been that good, like, they were the team, kind of one the type of team that I was just referring to, where they would squeeze into the play-in. And even though, like, they weren't an immediate threat to anybody, just based on, like, I mean, the recent body of work, it's not like they were the Warriors of old. There was still that small part in the back of your mind where you're like, oh boy, like, if you end up in a playoff series with Steph Curry, Steve Kerr, Draymond Green, like, you're not going to feel too good about that. But now all of a sudden, like, I like some of the additions they've made, some of the guys, like, around the margins that have kind of helped fill out that core, and that's not easy to do because, I mean, that's something that they've struggled with over the years, given how much they're paying their top guys. It's been tough to build around them, but I like some of the additions that they've made. And then some of the young guys, I mean, that was the, I think, plan a few years ago was you try and segue from one era to the next by drafting well and bringing in some guys, developing them. And well, first of all, they had some duds, like the James Wiseman experience did not go as planned. And then even with guys like Kuminga and Moody, I think it took maybe a little bit longer than expected, and they're still not there by any means, but I like what I'm seeing from those guys. And I do think like they're in a position now where they do have a nice mix of like vets and young guys. And as always is the case in Golden State, like they're a fun team. They're fun to watch.
Oh God. Yeah. Are they ever? The OKC Thunder. Now, of course, you got the Canadian connection at the top with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh, and they're 7-0. And not only are they 7-0, they've been outscoring teams by basically an average of 17 points a game. Like they're blowing teams out, and they're not giving up many points. I think they've allowed the fewest points per game, like by quite a while at 95. Like, are they this dominant in your eyes, both offensively and defensively?
Yes. Yeah. This is for real. Like they are the team to beat. Certainly in the Western Conference. Like I still think Boston is probably the championship favorite right now, but OKC would be number 2 in my books, and like not too far down in terms of that hierarchy in the NBA for a few reasons. Like I think first of all, like they're still very young, but now they're battle tested in a way that they weren't at this time last year. Like even as impressive as they were throughout last season, I do think there was that sense going into the playoffs that like, all right, well, this is still a team that hasn't really proven anything. They haven't had to win at quite that level yet. And we know like it ratchets up in the playoffs. Everything is a lot more difficult, obviously the level of competition, but even the way the game is played, the game is officiated, and there's no simulating that, right? Like right. You have to go through it. You have to live it. And there's no like cheating that system. We've seen it so many times in years past where young teams, and it happened with the Raptors too during those DeRozan and Lowry years where they would dominate their way through regular seasons. And then it was like a harsh reality that they had to face when they got to the playoffs. So I don't know if like 1 year of going through it is enough, but I do feel a whole lot more confident about them when they get to that point this year than where they were at last year. And I think other teams are going to be taking them a whole lot more seriously as well. And then I'll mention something else is that the ability to build that team. I just mentioned it with Golden State and how tough it is. It's not quite as tough for OKC because they're not dealing with the payroll that Golden State is right now, or the payroll that OKC will be dealing with in a few years from now when all those guys get paid. But I give Sam Presti a lot of credit because it's got to be so tempting for a team at their stage of development where they're right on the cusp. They've got a lot of young players. They could really use some like veteran guys to help get them to the next hump. And they have no shortage of assets to work with. They've still got a ton of picks. So it would be so tempting in their position to just go out, throw a whole bunch of those picks at like a superstar player and say, all right, like let's build the next super team. Let's be the next Brooklyn Nets to go Durant and Kyrie and Harden. But as we saw there, and there are mitigating circumstances, caveats all over the place, but as we saw there, like that doesn't always work. In fact, more often than not with these super teams, it doesn't work because like there's a lot of ego there. There's only one ball to go around for a lot of guys that are used to having it. What OKC has done instead, or at least what they did during the offseason, was say, okay, we're going to bring in a guy like Caruso who fits in perfectly with the way that they play and exactly what they need. They went out and they added Hartenstein, which addresses the need. And that's not to say that they're not going to go out and consolidate some of those picks and make another addition or two at some point. Maybe they're a team to watch at the deadline. But I really like the type of team that they're building right now. And I think that that's something that's going to be sustainable.
Josh, great stuff, man. We'll talk to you. And I I can tell you that Oiler fans, if Raptor fans ever need any advice on how to approach a season that's lost in November, Edmonton has a lot of experience. They did it for a while because I'm sure you'll end up doing a lot of research on Cooper Flagg and Ace Bailey and Drake Powell and Dylan Harper and V.A. Edgecombe and others who are going to be top picks in the NFL and the NBA draft.
Oh, boy. It could be a long year, but hopefully I get to talk to you soon, Jason.
Yeah,
Take care, man.
You betcha, man. That's Josh Lindbergh from TSN. And it's true. Hey, you know what? They're honestly, it's the best thing for the Raptors. I know people don't want to hear it, but it's true. If you're going to be bad, then be really bad. And the injuries, they've been a blessing. They're competing hard. Anybody who watched that game against Denver, they're right in the game. They just lost at the end. Sucks for them. But it's better for the future of their franchise. Here's the thing, though. You can never ask players to lose. It's impossible. You want your coach to win. You want your players to play hard. And that Denver game is like the perfect game. You're right in the game. You're leading. You're shot for shot. Come up short. Yeah, it sucks. But in the big picture, it's better. When we come back, we'll dig into the orders. You're going to hear from Connor McDavid. If you missed it, the captain is back tonight. So we'll talk about that and who he's playing with. I like it. Yaremchuk will be by. We got 5 questions, spec, and more on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to Declan Kruger and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. And the Canada-wide clearance event is on right now at GMC. You can get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, the Edmonton Oilers in action tonight as they play host to the Vegas Golden Knights. A 6:30 p.m. puck drop for this one. And Connor McDavid will be returning to the lineup for the Oil, and he will center the top line with Jeff Skinner and Zach Hyman. 2 other games in the NHL tonight, the Predators and Capitals at 5 and the Wings and Blackhawks at 6. News out of the hockey world is St. Louis Blues forward Dylan Holloway stayed at the hospital overnight after taking a puck to the neck in last night's game, but said he, quote, feels good today and that he aims to play on Thursday. Avs head coach Jared Bednar said today that Captain Gabe Landeskog has had a setback as he continues to recover from a knee injury that has kept him from playing since Game 6 of the 2022 Stanley Cup Finals. 12 games today in the National Basketball Association. It all gets going at 5 p.m. with Detroit and Charlotte. Orlando and Indiana tipping off at the same time. Notable games on the slate today include Golden State and Boston at 5:30 and Miami and Phoenix at 7. The Raptors in action in the late games tonight as they're out in Sacramento taking on the Kings. An 8 p.m. tip-off for that one. I'm Declan Kruger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CHJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions take 1 for Gene Principe. Are you ready, Gene?
Ready? I'm not just here to make a thermo a couple of bucks. I'd never just microphone it in.
Take 1.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for furnace season.
What's not to love with no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year?
Are you always like this?
Yep, unlike a furnace, I have no filter.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there. Now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the Orangesicle, the Marathon, and the Original, made with oranges, bananas, strawberry sorbet, and probiotic yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
Employee pricing is on now at GMC. Get up to $10,104 off select 2024 Sierra 2500 AT4 models. Make loading easier than ever with the world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. Make hauling easier than ever with up to 14 available camera views, including transparent trailer view. And make finding tunes easier than ever with a class-leading 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen. Yeah, let's get to work. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Get early access to real Black Friday prices now at The Brick. Save up to 65% off select sofas when you buy the matching Love Seater chair. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, save up to $700 off a big screen TV. And get free shipping on TVs over 50 inches. Find 40% off mattresses and next-day delivery on in-stock beds. Plus, save 3 times the tax when you buy 2 or more Samsung major kitchen appliances. Find a lower price before the end of the year, and The Brick will refund the difference. Some exclusions apply.
Questions of this
See
hour?
store for details.
Barbecue lover. This is the experience you dream of. Smoke, barbecue, and bar. Indulge your barbecue fantasies with fall-off-the-bone ribs, tender pulled pork, smoked chicken wings, and more. Featuring a variety of custom dry rub flavors. The cocktail menu brims with classics and new favorites to discover. For stylish corporate events or an unforgettably tasty night out, Edmonton's home for barbecue is Smoke Barbecue and Bar, downtown across from the Ice District. Smokebar.ca. In a world where every day is a battle against time, elements, and gravity, one ally has stood strong for over 50 years. Titan Supply. In the harshest conditions, against relentless deadlines and overwhelming tasks, they equip you and help keep you working safely. Lifting, digging, or hauling. Gear up for the everyday battle with Titan Supply. Still standing strong in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Or online at titansupply.ca.
Lift, dig, haul.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
A career in the public service is better in Alberta. Better wages, lower taxes, better job opportunities with our thriving economy, better chances for advancement, plus a better future with new investment in healthcare and education. Public service, it's better here. Learn more and discover new career opportunities in the public sector at alberta.ca/betterhere. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Notice how the last few months of the year all end in burr? Maybe because that's when the burr really starts. Sherwood Honda helps make sure you're road ready for winter conditions. They can service your vehicle of any make and model, and Sherwood have the tires you need to. When you feel the chill, remember to book an appointment with Burwood. That's Sherwood Honda.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine. You can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing, or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Regulated online gambling website.
A little Marky Mark on a Wednesday afternoon game day. Welcome back to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50, and you'll get a free $50 play in the month of November. Also, $24 million up for grabs tonight. Lotto 649. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. Lots of text flying in on the Amazon Prime broadcast, and I do think something that many people pointed out was their TV or laptop 4K compatible? Because I think that was the issue for a lot of people. Because, you know, even if you look at, there's certain channels now, TSN and even Sportsnet have the 4K channels. But if your TV isn't 4K, it looks terrible. Sometimes it doesn't even work on that one. So I wonder if that was a factor in it, because it would seem odd that some people were like, oh my goodness, like this is way clear. Because that's what I got. A lot of those texts were saying, man, that was crystal clear. And you look at, you know, they maybe have more high definition, high quality cameras. I'm not sure, but a lot of people were raving about the quality of it, where others had it very like, no, it sucked. It was lagging. It was staticky. Didn't like it at all. So I do think where you watched it, not where you live, but what you watched it on, might have been a factor. We might have to talk to Andy about that next week. So we'll see. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. I thought it'd be important. We're going to get to Connor McDavid. We're only going to focus on the power play, though, this time. As I asked McDavid, because, of course, he sat out the last 3 games. Now, the Oilers' power play in the games he missed actually was 20%. They were 13.8 in the first 10 games. I'm not saying that they're going to be better long-term without McDavid. Of course not. But if you look, and, you know, it was good. It had a few good games. And then, obviously, the power play against the Devils now was only one chance, but it was brutal. And, you know, we've talked about it on the show here. The Oilers aren't getting enough sustained momentum from their power play. But you know why? Because they're not getting many shots. When you have multiple scoring chances, even if you don't score, especially on home ice, the crowd's like, ooh, it's just louder. And everybody kind of gets a little bit more excited. And on the bench, even when you're creating good chances, it just gives you a little bit of a boost. Oh, geez, we're getting close, man. I feel it coming. Like, how many times have you watched a power play and it's like the anticipation's building? I think they're getting closer. Oh, they're getting closer. I think they're going to score. Right? It happens. Now, it might not happen on that one power play, but they're like, man, the last time they were all over, they're buzzing, they're going to score the next time. And that's how they feel. Well, there hasn't been very much of that at all this year. So I asked McDavid specifically on the power play, and what has he seen as far as lacking?
I mean, the power play just seems a little bit lifeless right now. You know, but you know, we know what we're doing out there. We've been doing it for a long time. It's time to get the excitement back in the group, the energy back on the power play, and get it going. I mean, it's time.
Your shot volume as a group is down. Like Leon and Zachary and you three were the top 3 quite a bit the last few years, and it's down significantly. I know you don't just shoot from anywhere. That doesn't make any sense. But how do you get your shot levels back to where they've been, where they're dangerous shots?
I think the shots is one thing, but I think it's the retrievals that's really been the issue. You know, we're getting our shots, but we're just not getting anything back, and not generating the second, third, fourth chance on the power play. That's always been our staple. You know, it's never been the set play or it's never been that's made us successful. It's retrievals, getting it back. Gully talks a lot about road hockey, you know, scoring on second and third chances, you know, when you're kind of off script. So we haven't gotten enough pucks back. I think that's where it starts.
Yeah, they got to get the puck back, because if they can retrieve pucks, then they'll get a second chance and a third. And when you think about it, like, they do have a few set plays off of faceoffs. We've seen it, right? They win the draw, especially if it's on the left side. They'll win the faceoff back to the boards, and the guy in the corner goes back to the point. Then he wheels down in the corner. They'll go down in the corner, quick pass to the low slot. We've seen that play a few times. Obviously, they like the one-timer from Draisaitl if they can set it up, but they set it up a lot of times by movement and moving around. And usually they move around because, we got a shot, and now the guy was following the shot. He retrieves it in the corner. Now he's on the left side, and now everybody just moves over. But their power play has looked way more static than I've seen in a while, and probably a little bit of confidence. So we'll see. When their power play gets going, it's going to make the games a lot easier for them. There's no question about it. Their power play needs to get going. Their penalty kill, obviously. But if I'm being realistic, that's going to be a much longer work in progress. I don't see it being a quick turnaround. The power play if the power play went 2 for 3 tonight, I wouldn't be surprised. If the penalty kill suddenly, had a stretch of 3 or 4 good games, I would be more surprised. Even the 5-on-5 scoring. Eventually, I have to think they'll score a little bit more. Now, how much? I don't know. But they got to have better shot selection, number one. If you keep hitting the goalie in the chest, I don't care how many chances you create, your odds of scoring are ridiculously low. And I think we've seen, it's the old adage when hey, guys, watch out. He's got a quick chest. Right? It's basically a polite way of saying stop hitting him in the chest. Right? Quick glove hand, good blocker. Some goalies have it. That's fine. Right? You're trying to pick a corner. He's got a great glove. All right. Made a good save. But you hit a guy in the chest, you get a guy right in the pads, usually you're not scoring. It's just how it is. I don't care what level of hockey it is. That's how it goes. And even easier for the goalie to make the save when there's no traffic in front. So we'll get to that. Hey, guys, I heard you talking NBA. I love it. Curious on your thoughts on who you guys like for drafts. I know Deck's a big NFL and basketball guy. What's his thoughts on that? Well, Cooper Flagg, how high are you on Flagg, the Duke freshman?
Yeah, Cooper Flagg going to be the consensus number 1 pick, as he should be. He's just kind of one of those guys who has it all. He can pass the ball very well for his size. He's a great scorer, both on the perimeter and at the rim, rebounds very well. He's going to need work defensively, as most prospects do coming straight out of college, but he's as good as it gets. He's the consensus number 1 pick for a reason. There are 2 guys out of Rutgers, Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, who I think are going to go very high in the draft. Both of them good perimeter defenders. Ace shoots the ball a little bit better. Dylan's a little bit more he's like a cutter, a slasher. He handles the ball a lot because he plays the 1 and the 2, but he gets to the rim very well. Those are the 3 guys I would probably think would go in the top 3. The other name I would look at is Trey Johnson. He's a shooting guard out of Texas. Again, shoots the ball very well, scores the ball at a very high clip for those Longhorns. Those guys are probably what I would think are going to be the top 4 names in the draft. So if you're a Raptors fan, Cooper Flagg is going to be number 1. So if you get the number 1 pick, congratulations, you win the sweepstakes. If you're somewhere in that 2 to 4 range, those other three names would be the guys I'm looking at.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a few guys there, and I know that Cooper Flagg's definitely going to be one. Edgecombe is another name. Drake Powell. And I'm curious about guys like Ian Jackson and Newell and guys like that. So, and I'm just there's the one player's name. Oh God. Boogie Fland, I think it is. I just like the name. I have no idea. Deck, I've never seen him play.
He plays in Arkansas. He plays their 1 guard. I'm not as high on him as others. I think he relies a little too much on his athleticism. Granted, I'm not watching every Arkansas basketball game, just from what I've seen. I think he relies a little bit too much on his athleticism, and I don't know if his IQ is quite there for the NBA level. Granted, whose is at 18 years old, but those would be my concerns with him. And again, to your point, great name.
Yeah. It is a great name. So I like it simply for that. It's the small things sometimes that matter. But guys, I like McDavid's honesty about puck retrievals. Just seems to be a willingness. Well, it's true. And here's the thing. Their power play usually would outwork the penalty kill. It's not, we have an advantage so we can slack off. No, we got to take advantage of our advantage and match the work ethic. Because if we match it, we should win more battles because we have an extra attacker on the ice. We can have more 2-on-1s or 3-on-2s in the corners because we have the extra guy on the ice. So, yeah, and the Oilers have been good at that. He's right. You go back and watch a lot of the power plays. Sure, there's sometimes McDavid wheels through guys, Deeks 2 scores. Right? It happens. Right? They have a few other ones right off a draw score. But you look at a lot of their power play goals over the years came off second, third, fourth opportunities because their skill and their ability to ad lib really comes to the forefront. Because every penalty killer will tell you, all of a sudden, let's say the guy from the left flank takes a shot, right? It hits a leg, or the goalie pad goes into the corner, or it goes maybe where you don't expect it to go. Well, now it's chaos because everybody is just reacting and you have more players. And if you have high skill players, like the Oilers' ability, McDavid and Draisaitl, to see things and decipher them and break it down in a millisecond to make the right play is what makes them truly elite. And and that's why I've always laughed at people, and it's a term that's only come out lately. It's a lame term. I know that some people just like to repeat the same thing. Power play merchant. It's the worst. It's the dumbest thing I've heard of. You try to discount players because guess what? Every team has the same advantage on a power play. It's 5-on-4, or it's 5-on-3, or it's 4-on-3. You have an extra skater. I don't care if you're Edmonton, Calgary, Columbus. You have now. Some guys have more skill on their power plays. That's valid. But everybody has the same advantage. And so if you're talking amongst the truly elite, because most teams, you're not putting your fourth line on the power play. Most teams are putting their best guys. So if you have somebody who's an elite scorer 5-on-5 and is an elite scorer on the power play, why is that a negative? I've never understood it. It's ridiculous. Don't ever buy into it. It's stupid. It's a skill set to still be able to produce at a high level on the power play. The penalty kill just doesn't, hey, we're going to let you score. Look at the Oilers this year. They're not there yet. I think they'll get back. And tonight would be a good night to start because they're going up against a third-ranked power play in the NHL in Vegas. Now, Vegas doesn't get a lot of power play chances, but when they do, they're crush teams. 32% right now. And their penalty kill's not bad either. So the Oilers, this might be a game where maybe you don't want, well, obviously, if they can draw the penalties, that'd be great. But Vegas doesn't take a lot of penalties. They don't draw a lot of penalties. Neither do the Oilers. They're the first and third teams in fewest combined power play chances in the NHL. You don't necessarily want to be first and third there, I wouldn't think. But in combined power play and penalty kill, total power plays in a game, Vegas the fewest at 4.5 per game. Edmonton third at 5.31. So maybe don't expect a lot of power plays tonight. About 2.5 a team on average, maybe. We'll come back. Tyler Yaremchuk will join us. It is Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. As you can always text us in 833-401-1440 in our E-Well inbox, EWEL.ca.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Get ready to revolutionize your job site with Edmonton Kubota's game-changing compact construction equipment. From mini excavators and skid steers to track loaders, carriers, and utility vehicles, they have a model to fit every need, all powered by legendary Kubota diesel engines. These machines are built for performance and reliability. Transform your work with Edmonton Kubota's top-of-the-line compact equipment. Visit them today and see why they're the name you can trust for power and precision.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions take one for Gene Principe. Are you ready, Gene?
Ready? I'm not just here to make a thermo a couple of bucks. I'd never just microphone it in.
Take one.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for furnace season.
What's not to love with no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year?
Are you always like this?
Yep, unlike a furnace, I have no filter.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Get early access to real Black Friday prices now at The Brick. Save up to 65% off select sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, save up to $700 off a big screen TV. And get free shipping on TVs over 50 inches. Find 40% off mattresses and next day delivery on in-stock beds. Plus, save 3 times the tax when you buy 2 or more Samsung major kitchen appliances. Find a lower price before the end of the year, and The Brick will refund the difference. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details.
Barbecue lovers, this is the experience you dream of. Smoke, barbecue, and bar. Indulge your barbecue fantasies with fall-off-the-bone ribs, tender pulled pork, smoked chicken wings, and more. Featuring a variety of custom dry rub flavors. The cocktail menu brims with classics and new favorites to discover. For stylish corporate events or an unforgettably tasty night out, Edmonton's home for barbecue is Smoke Barbecue and Bar, downtown across from the Ice District. Smokebar.ca.
No matter where your potential customers live, no matter what they watch, read, or listen to, you need a marketing plan that connects with them. Let the marketing experts at Stingray Media Solutions create a turnkey advertising strategy for your business, including radio and TV and out-of-home advertising, social and search ads, plus the creative and production. Find out the most cost-effective ways to reach your target audience and grow your business. Get started now at stingraymediasolutions.com.
$427. That song might be in honor of Kathleen McGee. If you missed it, a good friend of our show passed away after her second battle with cancer. We did have one of her segments. We played it last week before she passed away. And that was when she was Dr. Sarah McGee. Declan had heard for the first time last week. He's still chuckling. That's when we got Strutty. She was pretending she was a dermatologist talking about Strutty's chapstick addiction. Whoa, good. So funny. I'm going to have to put that up on my Facebook page. Have a good laugh about. God, I'd never laughed so hard. Long time. He was so rattled. So rattled. So to Kathleen's husband and brother Oliver and all of her family and friends, our deepest condolences. Gone way too young. Now, let's talk a little hockey. We'll go to the Oil Report brought to you by Volvo Edmonton.com. Stop in right now. The XC90s, XC90s plug-in hybrids are all in stock, and the 2025s ready to move out. Volvo Edmonton.com. Tyler Yaremchuk from OilersNation and Daily Faceoff joins us. Ty, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Greg. How are you?
I'm all right. Oiler fans get a big boost, as does the team, as their captain, Mr. McDavid, back in the lineup tonight. Noah Philp goes back to the lineup in Bakersfield as they're ravaged by injuries, and so they sent him down. They sent down Drake Caggiula. They only had 10 forwards the other game. They still won. But McDavid comes back, and maybe more importantly for me, he's going to play with Jeff Skinner. And I would like to see this for a stretch of games to see what they have.
Yeah, I really like the whole way this top nine is kind of constructed here. I mean, from the second they signed Jeff Skinner. It was very easy to go, okay, this guy can be a shooter on Connor McDavid's wing. And, I'd go back, watch his highlights with the Sabres, and it's like, man, he can score from pretty much anywhere. His wrist shot's really good. And what we've seen so far as an Oiler for Skinner is that he's got a really good nose for the net as well. Like, he scored a handful of his goals from right in tight. So I think this is a slam dunk fit. Again, from the day they signed him, this felt like something that they should try and give some length to. And I'm hoping, kind of like you said, that they keep it together for maybe 3-4 games. They saw what happened with Draisaitl, Arvidsson, and Podkolzin. And I know they were kind of forced to keep that trio together because of the injury to McDavid, but they gave them a couple of games, and by the time the third and fourth game rolled around, they started to get more and more effective. They had their best game together against Nashville, and I think that was their third game playing on the same line. So I hope Knobloch sees the results he got there and keeps McDavid, Skinner, and Hyman together for, give them a week, give them 3-4 games, and see if maybe they can develop some chemistry. And I also like the look of that third line too, with Henrique and Nugent Hopkins and Brown.
Yeah, that one's interesting. They move Henrique to the left wing with Nugent Hopkins and Brown, and they're just, all those guys need to get going offensively 5-on-5. So they can look around. You want to lead us? Let's all do it together, because all three of them need to get going offensively. They haven't done enough. The Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Arvidsson line, I get why they keep them together. It makes sense. And then Janmark, Ryan, and Perry, that's fine. We'll see down the road. I think eventually there'll be some more changes to that line. But probably not until Bakersfield gets healthy, because they just don't have enough bodies.
Yeah, and you mentioned the 10 forwards the other day, and then you go look at the way they're lining up tonight. They've been forced to put Matt Savoy back at center. I know they had run a pretty long stretch of time where they were trying to put him on the wing, and again, they're just so short-handed down there. So for Philp, I think he did enough to deserve to stay, but obviously him and Kajula don't need waivers to go back down right now, and Philp can come up and down. So I don't know. I guess it makes sense. And they're also on a Western trip, right? So if Derek Ryan struggles for a couple of games, Edmonton's in Vancouver on Saturday. Bakersfield is playing weekend back-to-backs in Abbotsford. So if you wanted to make a switch and just elevate Philp back up even for that game on Saturday, you could very easily do it. And in the meantime, Philp will get to go play 20 minutes a night and go help your American League team.
Yeah, no, it makes sense why they do it. Ultimately this team, hey, we can focus a lot on the fourth line center, but that's something that I think for later on. It's not the do all end all. It's not going to impact their power play, and it's not going to make a big impact on their 5-on-5 overall scoring, because that's the areas right now that need a significant improvement in my eyes. McDavid comes back in. Obviously, he'll go back on the first unit power play. Didn't like the two D-men look. I know that their power play technically was better with the 20%, albeit in a very small sample size. But I felt it became even more static when they had the two defensemen on. And McDavid talked really openly today when I asked him about the power play. They need more energy in there, get a little jump in their step, and they got to get better on puck retrieval. So I think that's what we're going to watch for tonight is second, third, fourth opportunities. Can they start creating some on the man advantage?
Yeah, and obviously the special teams have been a massive story this season. They're not producing at 5-on-5. They've been shooting, I think they're shooting 5.74% at 5-on-5 so far this season. And listen, if a stretch like this happens in January for 10, 11 games where you're shooting a little bit lower, you maybe don't notice it as much because it's the beginning of the season. It's more apparent. And then to tie it into the power play, if the power play was humming for the Oilers and was at 35% and had a couple more goals, we're also probably still not talking about the lack of actual production at 5-on-5. And it's maybe a little bit easier to accept, like, okay, they'll start scoring at one point. That's fine. For now, the power play is picking them up a little bit. And again, you mentioned it. The people who say power play merchant, it's so dumb. Like, it is a strength of this team that they can score and have scored at such a high clip with the man advantage. And we're seeing right now how it feels when they're in a cold spell, which they haven't had a lot of over the last 2-3 seasons as a collection. So yeah, if the power play was going, there's probably less conversation about the 5-on-5 scoring because they'd probably have a few more wins under their belt. Like, the power play and penalty kill have directly cost them games through whatever 13 so far this year.
Oh God, yeah. It's been surprising how bad the power play has been. Even the penalty kill, I didn't expect 60%. I thought the penalty kill would have some struggles. For sure. You know what? Screens have been an issue, allowing screens. So does that mean they're not blocking? I look at their numbers. Their block shots are down a little bit, not a massive amount, but one extra block shot a game can be the difference in a goal potentially on the power play, right? If it's the right type of block at the right time. And so when you consider how many more screen goals they've had, I think they've already given up 5 or 6 through screens. So that's a factor. their penalty kill struggling, so guys start doing more. I find Nurse, I've seen more issues with him for me on the penalty kill and where he's getting out of position and trying to do too much and just needs to exhale a bit.
Yeah, and maybe it's just a thing of guys gripping their sticks a little bit too tight. I mean, the old cliche is also that, hey, your goalie's got to be your best penalty killer. And you sit right now, Calvin Pickard's got the worst shorthanded save percentage in the league amongst qualified goalies by a country mile, and Stuart Skinner has the 5th worst. So, I mean, the players on the ice need to be better. The goaltending needs to be better. And I guess if you want to sit there and maybe pull a positive, it's that there's no way the goaltending stays this bad shorthanded. There's no way guys like Darnell Nurse, who have killed penalties for basically their entire careers, there's no way they continue to look this bad. Even a guy like Matthias Janmark, been a good penalty killing guy for the bulk of his career, his numbers aren't good shorthanded. Like, if one or two of these things can find a way to turn around, then the penalty kill numbers are going to shoot up, because right now they're in the low 60s. And I went and looked, like, the worst penalty kill that a team's had throughout the course of an entire season since the year 2000. There was a year where the Devils were at 71%. So the Oilers right now are like 9% worse than what would be the worst penalty kill the league's seen in 25 years. Like, it's unsustainably bad. They will at some point go on a run, but there's a handful of things they got to work through. Maybe they have to change up the personnel up front a little bit too.
Looking at Nugent Hopkins Henrique line, I know we talked about it briefly, but not really in depth. Do you like Nugent Hopkins better as the center or Henrique as the center? Or do you think we're just that's how they have them lined up? I'm kind of curious to watch who has the responsibilities down low at different times.
Yeah, I bet you we'll see a lot of, depending maybe even on the side of the ice. I know the Oilers probably have the numbers on who wins more on the right side, who wins more on the left side. We'll probably see them both taking a decent amount of draws. I like Henrique more as a centerman. I think at this point, Nugent Hopkins is a break glass in case of emergency center, not a guy that you should be lining up at center with to start games. So, yeah, I mean, I think we'll see him flip-flop throughout the game. I do like this trio, though. I think as much as Nugent Henrique, when they've been together in Henrique's time as an Oiler, their numbers aren't great. They have been getting caved quite a bit. But what's interesting is that duo in the 50-some minutes that they were together were used pretty hard as a defensive zone start. So when Jeff Skinner was on that line with Henrique and Brown, it was kind of like, whoa, there's some skill there, and you can use them in a softer matchup to go and actually outscore the other team and have a third line that can consistently score more goals than your opponent. Now that you swap Nugent Skinner, I almost view that third line as maybe more of a defensive group that you start in the D zone a lot, maybe take some tougher minutes, and it opens up the Draisaitl and McDavid lines to play a bit more offensively, to get those offensive zone starts maybe a little bit more than they were at the start of the year.
Tyler Yaremchuk from OilersNation and Daily Faceoff joins us. When you look at the defense, because 5-on-5, it's actually been the best area of the Oilers game is their 5-on-5 defending. Even their save percentage in the top half of the league, it's 15th 5-on-5. You look at shots against, shots per 60, they're top 3. Obviously, goals against isn't bad either, but goals for is really where it's going. But their overall defensive play as a group, 5-on-5. And that's why I hear a lot of people keep talking about, lack of speed. I don't really see lack of speed as a big issue as to why they have a 5% shooting percentage and, and other things. To me, I look at it more that this group has just been unwilling. If they cash some of their chances, no one's talking about the lack of speed. I get in straight lines. No one carries the puck like McLeod does. It's totally fair. But if there's one guy they miss, I don't think it's Holloway, Fogle in them early on or McLeod. It's Evander Kane. If I had to pick of all the 4 guys, it's Evander Kane who they miss the most.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I mean, he is the guy who scores more than them. And right now they're struggling to finish. They could use a 25-plus goal scorer in their lineup. And I went and looked at the numbers compared to the end of the season last year. Like, through this start, compared to what they did for all 82 last year, they are generating more shot attempts at 5-on-5, more scoring chances. They're getting more shots, and yet they have way fewer goals. Basically, just over 1 goal for every 60 minutes is what they're producing, less than they did last year. And it's like, yeah. And people pointed out to me, they're like, hey, you can sit there and say in air quotes, they're due, but they're hitting goalies in the chest. They're missing the net when it's, a wide open opportunity. And my response to that is, again, I agree that they miss Evander Kane, but this lineup still has, and we kind of did this last week when we were talking about surviving without McDavid, but Jeff Skinner, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Draisaitl, Arvidsson, go down the list. All these guys that have scored 25-plus goals at points in their careers. it's not like they just forgot how to finish. It's not like they forgot how to pick corners on a goalie. They're just going through a little bit of a tough stretch here. I really do think it'll turn around. They're possessing the puck well still. That's something that really drove their success down the stretch and into the playoffs last season. So it's good to see that hasn't changed. And, if people want to talk about, defensively, this, that, goals against, like you said, it's not that bad. And once the offense gets out of this little slump, which they're due to bounce out of right away, we're going to be talking even less about the defense because I think they're going to go on a run where they're scoring 4 to 6 goals every game.
Yeah, the one area that if I look at it's their penalty kill, and they need more saves from their goaltenders. The shots against per 60 is identical at 49 than what they had last year. It's identical. So they're not giving up more shots, and they're not even giving up more quality shots. They need more saves. They're giving up more screenshots is what they're doing. And screenshots have a higher percentage of going in than breakaways, funny enough, from ClearSight Analytics. So I would say they got to do a best. So either block those shots or do a better job boxing out so guys can't get in the screening lanes as easy as they have so far this year.
Yeah, middle of the ice, right? I mean, you can look at a team like Nashville right now, too. They're struggling to produce because they can't get to the middle of the ice. You flip that into some of the goals the Oilers are giving up, and they're giving up the middle of the ice too early. The Monahan goal, the Jesper Bratt goal the other day, like a bunch of these. And again, they're penalty kill, but like the player just stood unprotected. The Forsberg goal against Nashville was another one. Just stood in the middle of the ice. Someone got them the puck. They look up, and again, good goal scorers, when you get them into that range, more often than not, they're not going to miss.
Ty, good to catch up with you, man. Appreciate it. We will chat with you tomorrow on the rundown.
Yeah, enjoy the game tonight, Greg. Thanks.
There you go. That's Tyler Yaremchuk from Daily Faceoff and Oilers Nation. We'll return. We have 5 questions. Then we got Spec. Oilers, Vegas, puck drop tonight, 6:44. Prepare yourself. 6:44. PlayAlberta.ca. It's a Gregor Show.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Are you losing sleep over your debt? Being hounded by collection calls? My name is Parveen Middleton, a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I understand this can be a stressful situation, and I'm here to help. I can put a stop to these collection calls and guide you towards your debt-free future. All it takes is one phone call. Let's discuss your debt relief options during a free consultation. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
In a world where every day is a battle against time, elements, and gravity, one ally has stood strong for over 50 years. Titan Supply. In the harshest conditions, against relentless deadlines and overwhelming tasks, they equip you and help keep you working safely. Lifting, digging, or hauling. Gear up for the everyday battle with Titan Supply. Still standing strong in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Or online at titansupply.ca.
Lift, dig, haul.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet.
every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
A career in the public service is better in Alberta. Better wages, lower taxes, better job opportunities with our thriving economy, better chances for advancement, plus a better future with new investment in healthcare and education. Public service, it's better here. Learn more and discover new career opportunities in the public sector at alberta.ca/better here. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Notice how the last few months of the year all end in burr? Maybe because that's when the burr really starts. Sherwood Honda helps make sure you're road ready for winter conditions. They can service your vehicle of any make and model, and Sherwood have the tires you need to. When you feel the chill, remember to book an appointment with Burwood. That's Sherwood Honda.
Site.
Well, she was an American girl, raised on promises. She couldn't help thinking that there was a little bit.
Jason Gregor, Declan Kruger with you on Sports 1440. Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Hey, don't wait. Get early access to real Black Friday prices at The Brick, where you can save up to 65% off select sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture right now at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason. Connor McDavid, of course, returning tonight in this one. If I set his over-under at 2.5 points, would you take the over or the under?
No, I would take the
Okay.
under. 3 points is a lot to ask any player at any point. Now, I know it's Connor McDavid, and the rules are normally different, but if you're asking me to take the line, and I hate taking the under, I'd probably still take it.
Question number 2. To the game as a whole, as is customary, can we get a score prediction and a bold prediction for the game tonight?
I think we'll see some offense, but I think the Oilers lose 5-4 in overtime / shootout, one of the two. And my bold prediction is that the Oilers power play scores twice.
Question number 3. What does Vasily Podkolzin have to do to work himself in as a permanent fixture in the top 6?
Well, eventually he's going to have to score some goals. That's just, I like his effort. I like his physicality. I like his speed. He's starting to make more plays. All that, check, check, check. But eventually, if you're in the top 6, you got to produce. It's just that simple. You can't be a guy in the top 6 who is not chipping in offensively. You can't have it. Now, he doesn't have to be a massive scorer. I'm not expecting him to score like Zach Hyman or anything like that, but he's got to be able to chip in with some offense for sure.
Question number 4. Nathan McKinnon currently on pace for 157 points, given it's only been 13 games for the Avs. He had 140 last year, 111 the year before that. I don't know why I picked this number, and I'm starting to regret it a little bit, but will he hit 153 points?
Well, McDavid scored that, I think, so that's maybe why I came up with a number.
Subconscious, I didn't even think of that.
Like he's at 1.92 points per game. That's not realistic, man. I love Nathan McKinnon as a player, as a hell of a player. I think his minutes will go down a bit when they start to get other guys back, so that might impact him a little bit. I'd love to see it, but I will bet against it just because it's extremely rare. Like, I know it's fresh in our minds, and we had a guy just score 150 here, but 150 points in the NHL, man, there's very few players have done it. I'd love to see him do it, but I would have to say negative.
Does he still win the Art Ross?
Way too early to tell. Injuries. He's it's interesting that Cale Makar, like he's 2 points ahead. Him and Makar both are on 13 game points. I think McKinnon's actually, he joined Gretzky as only the second player to have multiple 13 game point streaks to start a season. Like he's on fire. There's no question about it, but I can't count out Nikita Kucherov, and you surely can't count out to McDavid, because keep in mind, you mentioned what he scored, 140
even, I think
140 points last year. He had 9 points in his first 10 games and still got to 140. McDavid has 10 in his first 10 now. He's missed 3 games. So that's a little bit, but can Connor McDavid come back and still be a 130 plus point player? For sure. I think he can. So I wouldn't rule out the Kucherov McDavid just yet in the or Kirill Kaprizov for that matter, the way he's rolling.
And question number 5, what is the minimum amount of money to get you to do the craziest or scariest thing you could think of? And as an example, for me, I'm scared of snakes. So I'm obviously not getting locked in a cage with a snake for $1,000. But if you're giving me 10 million, I'm probably doing it.
Well, probably. You'd do it for 500 grand.
You
would do it for 500 grand.
500 grand is a lot.
It's not a poisonous snake, is it? It's not going to die. You just got to get in there.
But Greg's, it's just one of those things. Like,
I know,
it doesn't matter if it's poison. It's just
matter.
like I used to.
If you saw a briefcase of $500,000 cash right there, and all you have to do is sit in a cage with a non-poisonous snake, you're sprinting in the cage.
I don't know, because it's such a mental hurdle, right? Like it's not even the venomous thing. I used to not even be able to say the word snake without like physically shivering. You know what I mean? So there is that mental hurdle. I get what you're saying. 10 million probably isn't the max. It's probably like closer to like $1 million or maybe 500K, like you said. But I'm just saying, like, it is one of those things where there is a hurdle for some people in some area. I'm wondering what that is for you and what the money is that breaks that barrier.
Even 100K, because if it's a mental thing, you'd say, okay, you got it. You're preparing for this. Even if someone walked up to you, the less time you have to think about it. Someone just said, hey, Declan, walk through the mall. Here's 100 grand. Go sit by the snake. You got 30 seconds to decide. Now you can't overthink it. Just go do it.
It's a good point. Okay.
And 100K cash where there's no taxes.
Yeah, tax free. Yeah.
That is a big difference for people. So for me, what is it that, the craziest, scariest thing I can think of?
And then how much money would it take to get you to do that?
Well, like I said, 100K. If I have to do something that knows I'm not going to die, it's just going to give me some fear. Well, that's fine. Like, I'm not going anywhere where I can die. That's where, like, because to me, that's all just scary. If it's like, I don't know, what would you get put in one of those? Like, well, I don't really like going deep underwater.
That's a good
but you
pick.
could pass out from that. So there's that.
But I'm saying, okay, but same thing you just said to
but
me.
Even if you passed out from the snake, you'd still do it because you're going to wake up. But I could die underwater. See, that's the difference. You can die underwater.
All right, but someone writes you a check for $1 billion. You're not taking the chances. You're not rolling the dice
for $1 billion. Well, billion, but even for like 500K, I guess it depends how far I have to go down. It's not a real big. Almost drowned when I was 12, so I go swimming lots. Like, I don't mind it, but once I get a little bit too deep, that's where I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be a deep sea diver, but that would probably be the one thing. Again, if I know it's a safe enough environment, I would just close my eyes and go and say, okay, where do I got? Just keep kicking my feet until somebody pulls a string. Okay, you're deep enough. And then I'd come up. But I would, for probably even 100K, man. 100K's at one time. That's a good lump sum where, you put that in an investment or whatever, right? Even at, right now, I put that in investment, good, say percent, even 7%, let's say. All of a sudden over 10 years, how much money you got. So it'll grow. I'd probably do it for 100K, something like that. Now, there's some things where your moral standards, that's where I would have a hard time. Like, there's certain things you couldn't do that way. But scary, I could probably live with.
Yeah, I tried to take that element out of it. Obviously, it was legitimately like a fear and then dollar figure to overcome it in simplest terms. So I hear you.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I'd kiss a king cobra for 10 grand. Like the tail of it? Oh, probably sure. Are you just going to wait till it sheds its skin and then do you kiss the skin for 10 G's? Why not? Guys, Declan talked about snakes the way I talk about my ex. Can't say her name. That's actually funny. I could see some people like that. You get in a real tough situation relationship wise. It can be tough to come over. right? Come on. Hey, guys, hire a psychologist for $1,000, collects $100K. The phobia is easily cured by a professional from Dealey Stan. Ooh, there you go. Get a professional in.
I'm not trying to downplay psychologists or psychiatrists, but I'm saying, like, there's a reason people have these fears even after visiting them. I think that's a little bit too much of a cop-out.
But have you ever visited?
Absolutely not.
About your phobia?
Absolutely not.
Like, I'd be curious, is there anybody out there who's a psychologist, psychiatrist? Do you deal in phobias and how you're able to help someone get over it? I'd be very curious. You don't have to say names for privacy factor. I get it. But I'd just be curious. What do you deal in getting over phobias? Because like, you know, some people say they're like commitment phobic. Right? And that might stem from some traumatic experience. Like, did you have where did the fear of snakes come? Did you watch a movie as a young kid? Did somebody throw a snake at you? Like, what happened?
No idea. I think it was honestly as simple as just seeing one and being like, nah, don't like that. Don't like the way they move. Don't like the way they hiss. Don't like the way they look. Like, it wasn't one specific incident. It was just everything about them that kind of came together and made me think, like, not for me.
All right. See, but I'd be curious. I'm going to have to talk to some of my psychologist friends. I've never asked that question. Do you deal in phobias to help people get over it? Hey, guys, I'm afraid of coffins and being locked in one. Yeah, but why would you ever be locked in a coffin? The only time you're in a coffin is when you're dead. And by then, you won't matter. You don't know anything. So I know some people don't want to be in one, so they get cremated. That's fine. But like a fear of being in a coffin, being locked in one, like unless you, like, it's not like a coffin could just pop up out of the blue. Right? Like they're not just hanging out somewhere. You can't go to a house party and someone's like, I got a coffin. Gonna lock you in it. At least I don't think so. Like maybe there's a specialty person that has a coffin, right? Because if you buy a coffin, usually it's for a funeral. Could you buy a coffin and keep it? I know that sounds very odd, but could you? Is that even allowed? Like if I sell coffins, hey Bob, I want to buy a coffin. Okay, who's it for? It's for me. Well, you're not dead. No, I want to have it in my house so I can get prepared. I don't know. I guess you could. I have no idea. Hey guys, what was the price for Fear Factor? They did some crazy stuff there. Good question.
$50,000.
Oh, see, 50G. Yeah, they had to eat a lot of crappy stuff for sure. Kind of gross. Let's come back. Spec. I have no idea if he's scared of snakes or if scared of going underwater. We'll find out. Wasn't scared to talk about Connor McDavid and coming back after only 9 days out. Connor McDavid, injured last Monday. He returns to the lineup tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights. Let's get to Declan Kruger and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. It's important to remember the 7-for-7 rule. When it hits 7 degrees Celsius, 7 days in a row, it's time to think about changing your winter tires. Cold weather affects tire performance, and winter tires are designed to help you get a grip and control on the icy and snowy roads. Learn more at fountaintire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, the Edmonton Oilers in action tonight. The Vegas Golden Knights coming to town, a 6:30 p.m. puck drop for that one. Connor McDavid will return to action for the Oilers and will center the top line with Jeff Skinner and Zach Hyman. Two other games in the NHL tonight, the Predators and Capitals set to go in just about 1 minute's time here, and the Wings and Blackhawks also hitting the ice at 6. News out of the hockey world is St. Louis Blues forward Dylan Holloway did stay at hospital overnight after taking a puck to the neck in last night's game, but said he feels good today and that he aims to play in the Blues game on Thursday. Abs head coach Jared Bednar said today that Captain Gabe Landeskog has had a setback as he continues to recover from a knee injury that has kept him from playing since Game 6 of the 2022 Stanley Cup Finals. News around the sporting world in the NFL is GM of the Cleveland Browns, Andrew Berry, has been, quote, non-committal about Deshaun Watson's future in Cleveland, and in the MLB news cycle, Juan Soto will take his time surveying the free agent market before signing with a club per his agent. 12 games today in the NBA. It all gets going in just over a minute's time here with the Pistons and Hornets and Magic and Pacers tipping things off. Raptors also in action as they are out in Sacramento with an 8 p.m. tip-off for that one. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction and sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Volvo of Edmonton.
Your furnace is dead. It's time to replace it before winter crushes you. Legacy Heating and Cooling is practically there already. Yeah, we're working in your basement. Doing a replacement. The work is so earnestly building your legacy. With no payments and no interest for 1 year, you gotta call Legacy. Replacing your dying furnace before it's too late, that's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
Get early access to real Black Friday prices now at The Brick. Save up to 65% off select sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining room furniture. Plus, save up to $700 off a big screen TV and get free shipping on TVs over 50 inches. Find 40% off mattresses and next day delivery on in-stock beds. Plus, save 3 times the tax when you buy 2 or more Samsung major kitchen appliances. Find a lower price before the end of the year and The Brick will refund the difference. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details.
At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meats, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality topping. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
In a world where every day is a battle against time, elements, and gravity, one ally has stood strong for over 50 years, Titan Supply. In the harshest conditions, against relentless deadlines and overwhelming tasks, they equip you and help keep you working safely. Lifting, digging, or hauling, gear up for the everyday battle with Titan Supply. Still standing strong in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Or online at titansupply.ca.
Lift, dig, haul.
Get early access to real Black Friday prices now at The Brick. Save up to 65% off select sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, save up to $700 off a big screen TV and get free shipping on TVs over 50 inches. Find 40% off mattresses and next day delivery on in-stock beds. Plus, save 3 times the tax when you buy 2 or more Samsung major kitchen appliances. Find a lower price before the end of the year, and The Brick will refund the difference. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. Clock, it is game day on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. How you doing as you make your way home? Remember, you got some time, but not as much as normal as the Oilers Vegas. The official puck drop tonight will be 6:44. For those of you who, you know what, you got to rush home, do whatever. I got to eat before 6:30. No, you got time. Although I'm guaranteeing the TV pregame show will likely involve a lot of Connor McDavid, who returns to the lineup tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. Ended up only missing 3 games, returned in 9 days. So he beat the minimum to, well, that was just, it's a projection of 2 to 3 weeks, and he comes back earlier. He gets a clearance from the doc. I don't see it being an issue. I know some people we got a lot of texts at 833-401-1440. Oh, they're rushing him back. I don't think so. I look closely, like there's no swelling anywhere that I saw. If it's a sprained ankle, it can. How many of you have sprained an ankle? And remember, like you wake up the next day and it looks like you got a baseball beside your ankle. But A, most of us aren't in as good a shape of athletes. B, we don't nearly get the same treatment that they're allowed to get at that state-of-the-art facility. So those things happen. I wonder how many times you're getting that worked on, rubbed out, massage, keep the swelling down, all those sorts of things. Plus, he's probably better than most of us were. Yeah, ice on, whatever they're doing, and you do it like twice a day. So, there's lots of factors. How the average Joe recovers from an injury is very different than an NHL player. From dedication to treatment, et cetera, et cetera. Some of you have to go to work. Can't take that much time off work, so there's a lot of factors that go into it. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Yeah, use the code word. It's November. You get a new one every month, so don't worry. You want to use it today, the 20th, 26th, doesn't matter. And they'll get a new one in December. But Gregor 50. So every month, basically, you're getting $50 from the Gregor Show. Good luck. Let's get to the spec report now, brought to you by GS Construction as they continue to work. They're the underground specialists for infrastructure. Keep everything moving. You probably don't even notice it. You don't know the importance of it. Hey, did you flush your toilet today? Thanks, GS Construction. Mark Spector joins us. Spec, in theory, it should be a welcome addition to the lineup. Anytime you get the NHL's best player back in, and McDavid coming back is one thing, but he's coming back to play with Jeff Skinner. Now you got my interest.
Yeah. I think the Oilers are. The Oilers are McDavid. McDavid's the Oilers. I know people say, and they're right when they say you got to be able to win games without the best player in the world in your lineup every night. And they did. They won 2 out of 3.
Yep.
But this guy stirs the drink. This team is built around having this guy. He's been with them now for 7 or 8 years, whatever it is. The power play is never going to be the same without him on it. The Oilers just aren't the Oilers without McDavid. So when we talk about all the things we want them to do and to start looking like the team they were last year and all those things, as long as 97 is not in the lineup, it's not going to happen. So it'd be interesting to see, how, if for starters, if his presence can get this power play off the ground, because it's been grounded all season, even with him on it.
Oh God, yeah, it hasn't been good. And I liked his response when I asked him about it today. You know what? We got to get better on retrievals. It's that simple. We got to get a little excitement back in our power play. Even the best power play, you can tell there's a little bit of a funk and hesitation, et cetera, et cetera. So I think if there's one thing we watch, if they get a power play, because Vegas doesn't take many penalties, they don't get many power plays. These are 2 of the top 3 teams when it comes to fewest power plays per game combined. Power play or penalty kill. And so we might not see a lot of special teams tonight, but if they do, I would think the Oilers at bare minimum will be looking to get 1 or 2 second chances on the man advantage tonight.
Yeah, and when he said that today, it really crossed my mind when we were in that scrum, Jason, that when he said we got to get a little excitement back in the power play, I thought really after what they went through last year and all those huge games, and then you come back and you're playing preseason and you're playing games in October. I think it goes for the whole team. They need to get some excitement back in their game. They need to find a level of to an extent they've been going through the motions is what I'm trying to say. The power play is a perfect example. They run their routes, they do all their things, but it doesn't have any jump. And you're right. They're not retrieving pucks. They're not making things happen quick enough that the shots are, Bouchard's getting every shot he takes blocked almost. They just need some excitement in their overall game. I feel like that they're what are they, 6-6-1. They're playing 500 hockey. It's pretty blah. They're not doing anything too exciting. They need a little jump in their step, and maybe this is where they get it from tonight.
The other line that's interesting is Nugent Hopkins with Henrique and Brown. I know they have Nugent Hopkins listed as the center iceman, but I think we'll watch. The responsibility in the D zone is likely going to change for who's ever the first guy back. Between those two, they're both very comfortable there. I know I've talked to guys when you play at the center, sometimes it can, it can save you a little bit of energy every now and then, because one time he's in the battle down low, the next time you're there. So there are some benefits to that at times. I look at that, like all three of those guys need to get going here 5-on-5.
They all do, for sure. None of those guys, again, they were all they're out there every night and they're playing and they look sort of like themselves, but and it goes right to Brown. Brown should be an exciting player, right? Brown should be in on the forecheck drilling a guy once in a while. Remember in the playoffs how good he was and how he was. How many breakaways did he have, right? How many games was he a factor in because he made a big hit or a big play? He's done nothing this year. Barely noticed 28 all season long. So that's a guy that needs to bring a little excitement to the game. Nuge has been barely this side average all season long. Had a couple of nice plays here and there, but he needs to bring his game to a new level and maybe centering his own line with those guys. Maybe that's the way to do it. Let's see. But I'll tell you what, I know Chris Knobloch agrees with me because he still hasn't figured out what his lines are. And a coach who changes his lines every night is a coach who's not happy with the lines he had the night before.
Yeah, well, he is keeping the one line together, the Draisaitl line. And, he got McDavid back, so that obviously alters things. I would like to see him kind of, especially the top two. And I get why, like, hey, if you're not scoring, you got to change your lines at some point. I get it, right? You kind of, because some days you're just hoping that a little bit of a change. But even in game, you know what? If it's suddenly 2-1 here in the third period, maybe when there's 5 minutes left, if you want to load up McDavid and Draisaitl, fine. But you don't need to do it when there's 5 minutes left in the second period.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. You're right on that. I really like the structure. Like, I've always liked the Oilers. I think we all like the Oilers better with McDavid and Draisaitl on separate lines. So that's just a given. They're a better team, a harder team to play against. I love the fact that Nugent Hopkins and Henrique are on the third line together, and Brown, that's pretty good pedigree third line. Like, if that's your third line, you must have a pretty good hockey team. So if those guys are going, I think they'd be a hell of a line together. And to be honest, they should see some third pairings here, right? And that's the set. Certainly Nugent Hopkins is a top 6 player all day long. And I'll give you a few teams in the league that have a second line that if that trio's going, they're probably not as good as that trio. So let's see what happens. I like the depth. I like an Oilers team that isn't stacked up on one line. I like an Oilers team that gives you a top 9 that's got 9, 3 dangerous lines.
Yeah. Mark Spector joins. Spec, I'm actually, I talk about it. One of the nicknames that I've, there's lots of things I've said I'm not proud of, but there's a few things that have come up that I am proud of. The shin pad assassin was one of my favorites. Andre Sekera in his prime. But right now, through 13 games, Evan Bouchard leads the NHL in shots blocked with 51, which puts him on, like he's first, like 51. That would put him on pace for 321 on the season. Quinn Hughes led the NHL last season in block shots with 242. Bouchard only had 185 shots blocked last year. For a guy who shoots a puck a lot, right? And you're a defenseman, you're going to have more shots blocked. That's just how it is. But Quinn Hughes had 242. Bouchard having 51 through 13 games is a significant uptick.
Oh, for sure. I'd like, did you look up what the record is? I would love to.
Yeah, well, I could find that.
Yeah, you could find that. Anyway, that's fascinating. And, that's kind of one of those analytics that backs up the eye test. I mean, I just said, I think a minute ago, that he's getting his shots blocked. Everyone who's watching the Oilers play knows it. He's getting an inordinate amount of his shots blocked this year. And now you got to ask why, right? What's the reason? Are they, is he delaying? Are they not setting him up for one-timers? Is he not getting the pass that he can one time? Is he, what is it that's going on? I also think, I think with Bouchard, one of his gifts, other than the sheer velocity on his shot, one of his gifts is he is not a crest shooter. He's a guy that puts pucks within 3 inches of the iron somewhere on a really consistent basis. He's very, very good he has been good at getting shots through, but he's really good at not shooting at the middle of the net. And this season, he's missing a lot of nets. I mean, he's missed a ton of nets, and he's getting shots blocked. So there you go. You wonder why the Oilers aren't scoring as much. That's just, there's probably 10 reasons. That's one of them for sure. And I'd love to, it'd be interesting to sit down with Bouchard or with a coach and sort of try to figure out what the difference is between last year's Bouchard and this year's Bouchard. 51 shots in 13 games, man. That's a lot.
Yeah, the record is 296 by Brent Burns. Keep in mind, this has only been tracked since the salary cap era. But in the salary cap era, Burns had 296, Ovi had 282, Burns had 252, Ovi 248, and then Quinn Hughes last year at 242, and Carlson was 239. Now, guys block shots more now too, so that's a factor. But the funny thing is, well, you're correct on him blocking a lot of shots. Bouchard actually hasn't missed the net much. He's only missed the net 10 times this year, which doesn't even put him in the top 125 guys in the league. So 10 blocks. He's actually on a lower shots missing. Now he's hit 3 crossbars and post/post. So technically, I know that counts as 13. But actually missing the net, where because if you hit the post, you're like, oh, okay, it doesn't seem as bad as where if you just miss the net. And so he's missed the net 10 times and then hit 3 irons.
I guess my point would be he's a post and in guy more than he's a post and out guy. I mean this as a compliment. The guy's an unbelievable shooter, and his accuracy has been fantastic. To the eye test, and maybe you're proving me wrong, but to my eye, his accuracy hasn't been this year where it's been in the past. And maybe some of those shots I'm seeing going wide, Jay, are hitting somebody en route to the net, right? But either way, the weapon that is Evan Bouchard, and it's a considerable weapon, hasn't quite found its sights yet this season.
Yeah, no, it hasn't at all. So it'll have to get better. Now, Vegas comes to town, Spec, and man, they're killing it 5-on-5. They lead the NHL with 40 5-on-5 goals, but they've allowed 30, which is a fifth most. So they're high octane. Like their games have had a total of 70 5-on-5 goals. The Oilers games have had 45. So, because the Oilers have scored 21 and they've allowed 24. So it's a significant difference. So, Vegas has been high excitement in their games. Their power play is 32%. So even though they don't get a lot of power plays, when they do, they're killing it right now. So, Edmonton has got to be good. Now, the one saving grace is they haven't been good on the road, except their road opponents are Florida, Tampa, Washington, LA, whereas, all playoff teams last year, all teams in the playoffs this year, whereas the teams they face at home are a lot of, 6 out of 8 didn't make the playoffs last year. 5 out of the 8 aren't in a playoff spot now. So quality of opposition might be something to it, but Vegas definitely has looked a lot better on home ice than road so far this year.
I think you can, believe they're unbeaten at home and haven't won yet in the road, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. They're 0-3-1.
Yeah. So, I think with the history of these two teams, you could throw a lot of that out the window here when they play each other. We all remember the playoff series they had 2 years ago. There's very likely a playoff series coming if, a few playoff series over the next few years. These are, I guess, along with Vancouver, the top 2-3 teams in this division. And it's a little different when they play each other. These games mean just a little more. The Oilers, Edmonton, almost without fail, plays excellent hockey in Vegas. Every game I've been in there with the Oilers that I can remember has been Edmonton's played very well. Haven't won every one of them, but they've been very good. And Vegas is a hard team to play, man. They're big and they're tough. And now they're scoring like crazy. So I'm all for it, man. Let's have a 5-4 game tonight. We haven't seen enough of those this year.
I'd be all for it, man. It's early on in the season. Get the home crowd fired up. It would be fantastic. Yeah. Would love to see it, in fact. One other one, when you look around the league, Spec, there's a few teams we have talked about that, hey, you know what? I didn't think they had a chance to make the playoffs at the start of the year, and I don't think they have a chance to make the playoffs right now. There's a few teams, I think the New York Islanders, I would put in the no chance just due to injuries more than anything else right now. What about the Predators? Barry Trotz comes out. If we don't get going, we might have to go into a rebuild. And I'm like, dude, you just went out and signed 3 veterans to multi-year deals. I don't know if after 12 games you can pull out the rebuild threat card.
That was a strange thing for a veteran guy like Trotzy to say, wasn't it? What a crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and it doesn't stabilize your team. Like, the guys in the dressing room, when they hear that, they're going, what? Like, are we panicking here, or what are we doing? It's a good team. They just got scored on in Washington, but I'll tell you what. I can think of guys around the league who may say something like that. I never would have thought it was Barry Trotz that would say it.
No.
I never would have thought it. And you're right. Don't how do you think Jonathan Marchessault and Stamkos are thinking about that statement? Oh, I heard Rupper on your show earlier. I got to say, I could listen to Rupp and you talk, for an hour. He's a great interview and a smart guy, right? And even he was shaking his toque a little bit on Trotzy. Now, I don't know. Maybe he just came out of Tootsie's and was having a couple in the afternoon when they interviewed him, Jason.
Yeah, but it did kind of catch me off guard. Now, I know, hey, Barry's kind of old school, no BS type, and thinking that maybe, you sometimes maybe got to ruffle the feathers to get guys, sometimes get them out of their comfort zone can be a thing. But, man, I was, Nashville, I'd said, hey, I thought they'd be a playoff team. Don't get me wrong. But I didn't buy into that they were just suddenly, people had them as a cup contender. I'm like, they don't have center icemen. Like, they got good players, but they don't have Ryan O'Reilly's a really good second line center. He's not a number one center. Novak's not a number one center. And so they went out and got some good wingers, but they don't have the centers. And I think we're seeing that.
I think we're seeing a team that's trying to do the fast kind of, the free agent rebuild, right? We're not going to rebuild, but we're going to go on the free agent market, bring a couple guys in, and that's a tough one to do. Let's see if they can pull it off here. They're okay. I'll tell you what, they're nothing close to Winnipeg in terms of depth down the middle. Their goaltending, as good as Saros is, the Hellebuck is just out of this world right now. They're in with, obviously, we all know how good Dallas is. Minnesota's playing out of their mind right now. And Colorado, to my mind, hasn't found their stride yet. They got a couple guys going back from injury right away. So don't get too slow a start if you're Nashville. You might not catch up in that Central Division, man. Some good hockey teams in there. And right now, Nashville ain't one of them.
Nope. Spec, have a good one. We'll see you at the rink.
All right. Sounds good, Jake.
There you go. That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. If you text to wrap up the show, 833-401-1440 in our E-Well inbox, 833-401-1440. Greg's, I have to say, I'm always impressed by the stats you come up with. I'm curious. I never hear them anywhere else. Where do you find all this stuff? You know what? I got a few sources online that I look at. A lot of the stuff is available at the NHL website. Some of it's available at the NHL. They have like a media portal where you can go. But a lot of the stuff, like shot attempts blocked, is available on the NHL website. You just got to know where to look at it. But it's in the stats page. So it is, honestly, the Bouchard and, the shin pad assassin was a great nickname. I don't think he's there yet because he hasn't. Normally, he's pretty good at getting pucks through. But early this season, it is fair if you're watching games saying, man, he's getting a lot of shots blocked. 51 already this season. He only had 185 all of last year. So he's almost on pace to double that. So you look at him, he's at 51. Next is Rasmus Dahlin at 44. Quinn Hughes at 41. So he's 10 more than every player but one. So early on in his season, that's significant. Now, keep in mind, lots of the top guys are offensive defensemen. Bouchard, Dahlin, Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar. Look at Dougie Hamilton, Mackenzie Weegar. The only forward in the top 8 is Philip Forsberg in Nashville. So it's not a surprise, but Bouchard wasn't close to the he wasn't even in the top 50, top 60 last year. So that could be another element that will help them on both the power play and 5-on-5. Andrew Walker, Donovan Paulson are coming up next in the pregame show. On behalf of Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have yourselves a lovely Wednesday. Enjoy the game. We'll break it all down. The post game we'll do it tonight, then we'll do it all day tomorrow. A few special guests joining us tomorrow's Thursday show as well. That's a wrap on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Good night.
You're listening to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean?